Hi friends, host Eric here, live streaming his little heart out with his beloved Rachel by his side,
Hi.
though off camera. Everybody's a critic, you know? I think we know what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody's a critic.
Everybody's a critic.
So, like, I was looking at this comment by this Yoshi character. I don't know what their full name is exactly, but part of their name is Yoshi. And they said, like, I don't think you know what NI is. Okay, well, I mean, and then they proceed to say, now I'm thinking about having a typing session with you so I can show you something about what an NI DOM does that you don't normally associate with that. Okay, probably this person is not actually an INFJ, right? I mean, they might be, but probably not. Because an INFJ who wanted to engage me purposefully, as most of that comment seems to, would have taken a different approach in terms of the... there's either a purposeful ignoring of an awareness of how that's going to play for me, or a willful ignore, or a just simply an obliviousness to it. Like, obviously, for somebody who's been typing people for such a long time and who's been talking about typology for such a long time and has done so much work in the field, to have somebody come in and just sort of brazenly say, "Well, you don't know what NI is never going to be received by anybody who has any good justification for thinking themselves to be knowledgeable, right? Yeah, that's fine if they want to substantiate that claim, but of course there's no substantiation in the comment. Just this notion that maybe they want to have a typing session with me so they can prove to me what NI really is. Of course, that begs the question. It's like, they can't use that form to prove to me what NI really is because their type is yet to be determined until after that form's up, as far as I'm concerned. From their perspective, they may know they're an INFJ, but I don't agree with that until after I type them and determine that in fact it's correct. So it's like, it's very easy to talk, right? It's very easy to just say shit. And so because we're dealing with something that's a talking kind of thing, which is to say, it's going to get parsed with language, it's going to get explained with language, our correct model of the thing is going to be described with language. Everybody thinks that they can talk too. They've got just as good things to say as anybody else. They don't get that even though it's talking has its own science to it, just like throwing a ball has its own science. And if you want to study the math of curves, like the math of an object moving through space at a curve, factoring in both gravity, friction, and spin of the ball and all that kind of shit. Well, you may be able to throw a ball well, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you understand the mechanics of ball throwing, so or how to do the math on it, right? So that's a problem that it's obvious when it comes to ball throwing. Everybody who throws a ball understands fundamentally that just because they can throw a ball well doesn't mean they can explain the math of an object moving on a curve through space well. Everybody gets that. People don't get that about typology. Just because you think you're talking well doesn't mean you're qualified to make statements about typology, because it's like the math thing, right? You go, oh, I know how to throw a ball. Well, so of course I know the math of it. It's just 7/2 times an irrational number divided by pi, and there you go. Over time, per second, or whatever. And it's like, okay, you're just being silly. Yeah, that's because I didn't really set up the filter very well. It's basically because we're sort of halfway between light and shadow.
Mrs. Mom.
Thanks for making that happen today, Winston Mom, and for
Yeah.
paying me for it. That's nice.
Thank you.
All right, well, it's still looking gray and fuzzy, but there, now it's looking nice and black. Let me move this a little closer, maybe. We'll have less of that problem. There's Rachel.
Hi.
No more Rachel for you. Put this up a little higher. There. Yeah. Stop doing that, though. Stop doing that, though.
Yeah, why is it so gray?
There. Now we're cooking with gas, which is my favorite cooking fuel. Okay, quit your complaining, blurry AF. Your mom's blurry AF.
Your mom's like the blurriest party girl I ever met.
Oh.
It's like, am I one of those pacifier rape kids? No, that's just your mom on my jock.
Ooh.
It's like, just because phospholuminescent things get light up because they get jostled, does that mean, does I'm jostle phonoluminescent move by your mom because she's near me? No.
That was a lot of breath that was held there.
I see, this time I was smart. Today we got two boxes of whippets. And I told Rachel, hey Rachel, this is your box of whippets. This is my box of whippets. When you're done with your box of whippets, then I'll share with you my box of whippets.
Where is the other box of his?
Right here is my box of whippets.
Right.
I've
But
only done two whippets.
You've been taking from mine.
No, I have not.
Yes, you have.
Those last two, this is the first whippets I've done since we got home.
That's not true.
It is true.
You just took two.
That's the first two I took since we got home. I shit you not.
Oh.
This is how many whippets
they
Rachel
were.
has done.
Yes.
Like half a box.
Yes.
This is how many whippets I've done.
No, but you did take
Two.
some
I
from
did
here.
not take any whippets from your box. I swear to fucking God.
Okay.
I did not take
believe
any
you.
whippets
I
from your
believe
box.
you. I believe you.
And this is the first two I did the whole day. Was the one that you take. Because I kept being busy, like making thumbnails and stuff.
Oh, my bad. I really feel bad for that.
That's
Sorry.
okay, darling. It's okay. Totally okay. And besides, believe me, this is what I mean by childish third slot TI. You will get definitely more than your fair share of whippets. Don't worry about it. I promise.
Thanks.
Now, it is possible I took the third whippet that I took there out of your box. Okay. So I did take one out of your box. Because by the third one, I wasn't
I
really,
thought I saw.
I wasn't really aware of
I
where
was
I
like,
was reaching.
okay, that'll be the one that we'll like share then.
No. This is your box.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I took.
Wait, I
Is that
think-
got one in it?
yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Well, look. The thing is this, guys. When you're a couple of people who enjoy whipped cream as much as I do, and Rachel does, then you do a lot of whippets. Dr. Untitled says this brilliant critique. Host Eric, you are an idiot. No, I'm sorry. You an idiot. Learn to use Photoshop, you old farty geezer. Senile geezer, stop streaming, freak weed user. Everybody's a critic. I mean, those people
That's
who criticize
perfect.
me are usually the hugest idiots in the world, but, that just never doesn't stop them from being critics,
Nope.
Obviously, Larry Bandit is a complete idiot, and so is Dr. Untitled. But they still have the right to criticize. Of course, I have the right to hide them, but everybody's a critic, even idiots. Even people who have no business criticizing things are complete critics,
Seriously.
The YouTube's #1 destination for pure idiocy. That's probably where they hail from. That is yours.
I'll keep
You
it.
put it over there, I'll put mine over here. And the thing is, you busted me and I denied it, then I realized, oh wait, that third one I might have grabbed it from your box.
So that's why we shouldn't have the death penalty.
So that's why we should have the death penalty. Exactly. So that people like me don't get away with lying like I just got caught doing. Accidentally.
Accidentally.
I wasn't lying on purpose. It's
Yes.
accidental. 'Cause I didn't realize I was tapped out
Yeah.
enough by the third one that I may have actually taken
Yeah,
the box.
right. You did.
Yeah,
so,
I did.
Like,
So, my bad.
yeah, like it was a mistake. It probably wouldn't have been as bad if you had lied. You didn't lie. You just were being.
No, I was just
reasonable.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because I my SI wasn't keeping track of when I was tapped out as well as when I'm not tapped out,
Jeremiah Fix says, I gave a long FE spanking that no one read, but they're still coming because they have sand in their undies. Oh well. That doesn't sound like FE. It sounds like someone who would use FE because they don't like it. I don't know. It sounds backslot.
I like the exclusion of verbs. Oh, it's Eric Gay.
That is funny. Yeah, what are you, 10 years old?
Hey man, no Eric Gay.
I mean, the thing is, of course, Host Eric be gay, or Host Eric Gay has to have an extremely poor NI sense of things because obviously if you were to evaluate ways that you can critique Eric's make him insecure, sexuality probably wouldn't be one vector on which you critique me since I've had 2 wives and multiple girlfriends and no boyfriends, so accusing me, and I have a daughter of 1 wife, so it's like accusing me of being gay is just like, that's not really going to find any traction. So if you make your name Host Eric Gay, you're incredibly stupid to begin with. Just like mind-bogglingly stupid. Borderline Jean-Luc Picarded. Oh, all that means is I'm deeply satisfied and closeted. Good point. The harder I try to be with women, impregnate them, raise children with them, and otherwise do heterosexual things, heteronormative things, that's just proof positive of how deeply closeted I am. I am broke. That's true. I don't have very many viewers. That's true. But on the plus side, I'm not borderline retarded like you. So, I do take some solace in that. But you're right. You're totally right. I'm broke. I don't have very many viewers. That's totally true. And your point is that you're Jean-Luc Picarded? Yeah, I know that already. I'm broke because I spent all my money on drugs. Which is the only good enough reason to be broke, really, right? That reason is good enough to be broke. Okay, fine. Then you're broke for a good reason. You spent all your money on drugs. What I would hate is if I were broke and had bought things like, I don't know, food or cars or jewelry. Yes, those do comprise both middle fingers directed at loser cannot censor me. I mean, even your name there is factually false. I absolutely can censor you and will because I'm not the government. Dummy. The dummies, arrest them. Though that's dumb too. Hey Ryan, I suggest you ask them to reverse the lobotomy if possible. You should try that. Go back to the doctor and say, hey, you know that lobotomy you gave me? I wonder if it's reversible.
Or vasectomy.
If not, can you at least give me a vasectomy? Is a good follow up, Rachel. I agree. Because we definitely don't want Ryan / loser cannot censor me / whatever else to reproduce because obviously that would return us closer to our evolutionary ancestors, the apes.
Ugly girlfriend. Thank you. Logically break down the census gold census.
But I thought it was gay.
Old geezer.
First I'm gay and then I have an inadequately attractive girlfriend? She's not even on screen.
I can read. It's just very long.
Yeah, she can read. I can read too. And what's even cooler, she and I can both think. Which is like, if you were to try that someday, you'd be amazed at how much it improves your ability to be right.
Also, I've never claimed to be a genius. So
I've also never claimed Rachel's a genius.
yeah. So it's
I claim I am, maybe, but
your argument is moot.
yes, as the Reverend Jesse Jackson said in his classic Saturday Night Live performance, the question is moot.
The question is moot.
In these troubled times where idiots come by and act as though they know things, the question is moot.
Exactly. Thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yeah, then how are you typing words if you can't read? It's not that easy.
I mean, I don't feel like I settled for anything. I feel like you're a retard.
Less than. I mean, like, I'm a person just like everyone else. I have feelings that hurt. I mean, I feel like we're a good match because our intellect actually does match. On our biorhythms does. I know that doesn't. Of course I go to that. But honestly though, you know, I'm not an idiot.
I mean, unlike me, you're attacking me because I'm attacking you because you're saying incredibly stupid shit. You're attacking me because I'm not saying incredibly stupid shit. And you're attacking me by attacking Rachel randomly. It's not even because you care about Rachel at all or have any opinion about her. You just think it'll get to Eric if I attack Rachel.
True that.
So, I mean, it just makes you not just a retard, but a scumbag. I mean, that's it. That's as simple as it gets.
Obviously, she's gorgeous, but I'm not even going to bother defending that point because I'm not going to let you drag me onto your stupid fucking ground. Because you're too fucking stupid to actually accomplish anything with your lack of justifications. The only thing you can get me to accomplish is shitting on your face, which I will do. You can provoke me to shit more on your face, but that's it.
Well, everyone's a critic, so this troll is proving us right. About a week ago, I put up an Instagram post with it's like a vine of this like round kid who has 2 spoons over his eyes, and he like turns to the camera and he says, "Oh hey, I didn't see you over there. That's because I like to block out the haters." So great. Two spoons over your eyes. Eric's wearing the pimp hat. Eric met me wearing this hat in
This
the
hat here?
airport.
This is, when you said the pimp hat, I immediately thought my sexy hat.
Yeah, that's the pimp hat.
I don't think I can look at the URL address. I don't know how to do that even. So, I don't know. That's obviously all one person. Jim Baker, SWAT, Logically Breakdown, D's Nuts Old Geezer, and Ryan, and Loser Cannot Censor Me, and host Eric Gay, and Dr. Untitled, and Larry Bandit are all the same person, obviously. I mean, it might be like a 2-person team or something, but it's definitely the same party, right? I do still have the sexy hat. And you know what's weird? One day about, I don't know, 3 months ago or something, I was watching, I think like an SNL clip or something. It was some sort of clip from some TV show, and somebody in the show had my sexy hat, except it was a slightly different, maybe it was a little darker or something, but it was the same hat. I was shocked to see it.
Oh my god, I would have been shocked too.
I was talking with Rachel today about chilling with you, Taylor. about how you traded my dashboard weed for some other substance.
Yes, it did. Thanks, Slow Steed. He says, "I'm sure they were not as sexy as you meaning
Rachel, I'm assuming, yes.
No,
I agree. I'm sure they are not nearly as sexy as Rachel, whoever it is that's critiquing her. Anyway, I told her about how the universe tried via you to get me to be a little bit smart, and even when I refused and fucking pissed in the universe's face, I still got off pretty light in Oklahoma, you know? Listen to this. Your whippets have been clouding your mind and your vision. You have a degree, yet you are piss poor. Failure. Wasted life. You sold the dashboard read. Okay, I thought you traded over something. I mean, I'm not scared of you. You're not worth listening to. You're basically like an animal. You don't speak with human intelligence.
It was a quarter still. It's like, damn, he impressed me with that story.
This isn't criticism, retard. This is you spewing bile because you're a huge hater.
No, I'm not on heroin.
Are you on concentrated stupid? Yes. Okay, so good for C.S. Joseph.
Yeah.
He makes more money than me. You might make more money than me too.
Okay.
What's your point? That I should be condemned because I'm not rich enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think... What are you trying to get at here? Oh, that you hate me? That you're extremely jealous of me?
You made Kitty come inside.
I mean, I don't think it was for nothing. I have my own reasons for doing things. I'm not in an echo chamber, obviously, because I'm responding to you here, and you, like many people, are absolutely, completely consumed with your hatred for me.
I need to put myself down. That's really mean.
Yeah.
That's really mean.
I mean...
Like, you actually, like, said that you, like, want me dead.
I mean, the thing is, you're revealing that you're not just incredibly stupid, but a complete fucking scumbag, too.
That's...
So it's like, the reason I'm not censoring you at the moment is because all you're doing is, because you haven't said a single thing of any value, you spit a bunch of bile and venom, you've attacked me and Rachel on irrelevant points, that makes you incredibly dumb, right? Like, in other words, if you wanted to critique anything that I'm doing or saying, you'd have to critique something that had some intellect to it or substance, and you can't do that, so you're stuck with personal attacks that are totally unwarranted or justified by anything, and it just makes you look like what you are. One of history's dumbest people, you know? Not personal. I see. So, when you go through the world, the normal world, as you walk through the world, when you see somebody who's unattractive to you, do you walk up to them and tell them that you think they're ugly? Or that they need to think themselves ugly and should put themselves down? I mean, how do you look in the mirror in the morning and not puke? Because like I said, it's totally fine to be dumb, right? It's totally fine. You're a complete idiot, and that's not. There's nothing wrong with that. But to both be a complete idiot and a complete scumbag.
Wow. What the
I mean,
hell
look
is
at that. It's like, wow, what a toxic waste dump of a human being, you know?
Seriously.
Then don't sit around here. Go, then leave. Why are you here?
Why are you here?
If I'm so awful, why are you here? You done with this?
No.
Okay. I mean,
You are.
I can because I enjoy my time here. I enjoy shitting on the face of idiots like you. It's fun, you know. It's like you must be absolutely seething right now behind your computer. Yeah. You're clearly so enraged at me. I didn't do anything, obviously.
No.
You're enraged enough to just reveal just what an awful human being you are openly. That's how enraged you are. And I didn't even do anything to you. I don't even know who you are. You hate me that much just because I'm right about things. And don't deny it. It's like, wow. If you are 13 or 14, when you're 16 or 17, you realize, oh my God, I was such a douchebaggy little teen. But if you're already an adult, I didn't know humans. I didn't know humans came in such a disastrous failure variety.
I've definitely had my share of like idiotic mistakes, but at least I owned up to them.
Like, you know, it's like Did Juan Rodriguez actually think that we were going to think for 1 second that he wasn't the same person? Even before he even said anything? No. I mean, obviously, we're not stupid like you, so... It's weird how dumb people can be, right? It's like, this guy is dumb on every level. So he's too dumb to engage my ideas. He's dumb enough to attack both me and Rachel personally in ways that no human being would ever validate, right? And he's dumb enough to think that like this is a good use of his time, even though the only possible result is he must be feeling even more angry, even more like I hate her so much, which makes me laugh, you know.
Yeah, dumb enough to put threats in writing is right. I mean, like, I definitely have done that before, been dumb enough to put threats in writing.
Probably.
But this
I
person
don't
is
know,
just
but not
pure
like
spiteful,
that.
you know?
But but yeah, no.
I mean,
It's just spite.
it's like
I don't.
he hasn't given any reason for me to feel bad at all, except he's made false statements about you and told me that I'm broke. I mean, tell me something I don't know about already. I already know I'm broke.
Crying is not a problem flow state. Even if he were angry and crying a little bit, I think he's so angry he's crying a little bit.
I think if he were crying a little bit, then he'd probably be a more decent human being.
Yeah.
He's probably unable to go, oh shit, I crossed some lines here. I guess I really am a toxic fuck, you know? I don't think he's capable of doing that.
A good cry, not gonna lie. Should have phrased that on some sticker and.
I have cries like every day, pretty much.
Actually, so then you make up for my lack of it then.
Yeah. Well, different things make me cry, you know. Somebody said something really nice last night that when I was thinking about it this morning, it made me tear up a little bit.
I was hoping you would mention it.
After the comedy show, me and Rachel and Corey and Shad were hanging out outside of the comedy club, and this guy Corey bummed a cigarette off this guy, and
Yeah, and the guy gave not one but 2 cigarettes
one
out.
to Shad and one to Corey,
Which was
and
really nice.
and then we were chatting there. Me and Shad and Corey and Rachel were chatting, and then before the guy who gave him the cigarettes, when he got up to go leave, finally, and maybe somebody showed up to pick him up, I think maybe. He said, "Your friend's really funny. He should have opened," which was referring to me, and we were just standing there chatting. It was really nice because it was like that guy didn't know that would make an impact on me at all. Really, probably. We were just chatting. You know, I wasn't trying to perform or anything. And yet it is the case that I've thought about doing comedy before, and I think I'd probably be pretty good at it, and it's kind of an aspirational thing for me, you know? So it really was validating and affirming to hear that random person say that after the show. I mean, Lana White, you're trying to help? Oh, thanks. Oh gosh.
Then I might not have finished.
You know what? I should listen to this guy. He sounds like the kind of guy who can really provide some help.
So, guess what, guys? We've decided that I am a 9, not a 7 first, because I'm slothy and not, like, right now, like, you're like, come on, like you're very, like, you can go but fast, but I'm very slow in the way I'm going.
We're not funny what, though?
You're very funny.
Well, he said
No.
possessive you are, so. Scully Smalls? You can barely speak straight, you're a no 9? Wait, so are Enneagram 9s known to speak well or something?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about just like Wow. To be a human being and to
everyone's
project
critic,
out
but-
nothing but just diarrhea, it must be difficult for you. I mean, do you normally engage with people like this? Let's say you go out into the world
He
and
is
you're
an
talking to,
ENTP.
and you're talking to, say, like a lawyer about whether or not you're subject to liability on something. Do you engage with them like that?
Thanks.
Oh, I'm not an
I'm
ENTP. Oh, what am I then,
Yeah,
Scully Smalls?
exactly.
What am I? Do tell.
I knew an ENTP before meeting Eric. His type did not come into play when I was choosing him as a partner.
Oh, I'm an ISFJ trapped in my subconscious. I see. So what would an ENTP look like then? If I'm an ISFJ trapped in my subconscious, what does a real ENTP look like?
That's a good question. So wait, do I have like... three?
Of course, if I were an ISFJ trapped in my if I were an ENTP trapped in my ISFJ subconscious, then, I mean, I would act like an ISFJ, right? I wouldn't act like an ENTP. So explain why I'm an ISFJ who acts like an ENTP all the time. Am I an ENTP caught in his ISFJ subconscious who's caught in his ENTP subconscious? My TI needs to learn when to shut the fuck up? Well, that may be the case, but that doesn't make it wrong, right? So, in other words, it might not be wise to say what's correct to somebody who, for example, might have more power than you, but it's nevertheless the correct thing to say, regardless of whether you ought to say it or not. The correctness of the thing being said is independent of the correctness of saying it. Oh, no, I don't have your motives confused. I'm not worried about your motives. I know what your motives are. You're a hater and a douchebag and a spiteful shame monkey. I know entirely what your motives are. I don't care about your motives. Your motives aren't what make you wrong. It's your stupidity and your wrong words that make you wrong. Yeah, tell me about your childhood. Were you abused or what? Or are you just really that aggressively dumb? You tell me. Explain it. Because that you are dumb and are saying incredibly dumb things is not disputable. Smart people don't say incredibly dumb things like you're saying. Decent people don't say incredibly awful things like you're saying. So that you are a awful and dumb person is not in any dispute. Hey, look. You used contractions correctly this time. Congratulations. So these people do interest me, right? Like this thing that happens to me periodically is interesting to me. There's something about me and the way I approach this stuff and how I'm definitive about it and how I'm confident about it that I think people with a certain kind of I guess, ontological flimsiness in a very specific area, they feel a desperate need to attack me. I guess I must be incredibly threatening to their own ontology in some way. So it's like there's no disputing that this individual is somebody who's shockingly, deeply, incredibly threatened by me. Why else would somebody come in and spew that kind of just like indefensible bile, right? Yeah. They've got to be projecting their own issues. So, I'm the inception of the MBTI world. I'm not sure what that means, but I like the thing. Somehow it means that you can go into people's dreams and stuff. I've seen the movie, but
Yeah, I like that too.
oh, I see. You're referring to the thing about how I'm the subconscious. I'm an ISFJ in his subconscious. Stuck in a subconscious ENTP who's stuck in a subconscious ISFJ or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care of yourself, geezer, and Erewhon Tree. Listen. Take care of yourself, geezer. Dude, can you shut the fuck up? Okay. I thought my SI was dominant. Didn't you just say it was an ISFJ? Now you're saying it's SI inferior? I mean, it's like, are you trying to say, this is how to prove to people that you're dumb? Because didn't you just say I was an ISFJ? Now you're saying, oh, now I'm an unhealthy ENTP. I see. Well, as I mentioned before, you are... Let's just put it this way. You don't pass the Turing test.
Thanks, TinyMan66.
Thanks, TinyMan66. I feel very healthy. I feel like a loving, healthy, wonderful, nurturing, compassionate, caring person.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to put on my Instagram how adorable our kitty was laying because she was just like hanging out with us. Make sure it makes for a good video. As in like worthy for me to put up. Yeah, it does. So 1, 2, 3. So equals 2.
Can you imagine somebody coming around here and going, Eric's broke. Water's wet. I mean, tell me something I don't know. Oh, she wasn't one of the trolls? I'm well aware. I'm obviously much more well aware of my brokenness than you are, right? I'm not actually probably as broke as I make myself out to be, but I'm definitely broke. You know, I had to do a conversation with the state of California and agree to a settlement deal where I have to give them money every month. Because I guess I didn't really pay my taxes. Back when I was running autonomy debate like I was supposed to, when I had a small business that was making money, one year I couldn't find this one paper, and I said, I threw up my hands. And anyway, I only owe like $3,000 in taxes, but I don't. Yeah, I'm certainly not rich, you know. Okay, well, I'll try to unhide that person. Don't hide Jonathan Visanti. What are you doing? Jonathan Visanti's not not a problem. Unhide him. Yeah. Okay, Legends Fall. Let's not start hiding all the nice people too. Jonathan Visanti, just hang tight. We'll get you unhidden. There you go. Thank you, Legends Fall. I'm looking out for you, Jonathan Visanti. You know why?
I don't know if I finished it.
Because you remind me of biscottis.
Sorry.
And biscottis are one of my favorite kind of cookies to have with coffee. That's why.
Pokery, slow pokery. Oh my goodness, I always hit that one bottle.
Yeah, in some ways, it's kind of gratifying to get a lot of action from the trolls. The thing is, you know, if you're not pissing some people off, you probably aren't doing much or saying much, you know. Well, you know what I say, Legends Fall? Don't go chasing waterfalls, but that never stopped you. What did I catch you doing just yesterday? Chasing a waterfall. So don't be busting Jonathan Visanti's chops for engaging the trolls. And listen, Jonathan, don't you be apologizing to Legends Fall. You say, oh yeah? Fuck you. Okay? Like that. That's how to love. That's how to love your friends. I'm giving lessons on friend loving today. It's so hard to feel it and Yes, good, Jonathan. Good. That's exactly the right intonation.
Everybody's a critic, I tell you. Oh, the PayPal thing. Did I talk about that already? We're going to maybe make some progress there. I got someone at PayPal today to say, okay, I agree. There was no violation of the user agreement. What? Did my ears deceive me?
I think they're going to get their money back. I'm pretty sure. They said they're going to, like, the lady basically said, okay, you're right, there's no user agreement. We're going to send this to this person. You should hear back within 24 hours. I can't guarantee you they're going to approve this, but my indication is that they got this wrong and right? So it looks like they're going to get their money back, which is going to be, like, boy, talk about a favor to call in, right? Because they're not paying me to do this. I'm just doing it because it pisses me off that PayPal's trying to fuck them, you know? So, it's like, well, you remember that time I saved you $20,000? So, if I ever really want LA Philharmonic tickets, I'm trying to get some badass Philharmonic tickets now. If you are legitimately new here, walk softly at first because we might mistake you for one of a swarm of insects that have been flying around, you know? I've never even dreamed of timing out Morridge as far as I can tell. Hi, Morridge. Oh, I see. That's why you guys were saying that, because of what Morridge said. Morridge, you're relying on our SI knowing who you are. Otherwise, you would totally have been banned. You know, you might have a mod in here who doesn't know you, and you would have been fucking banned, dude. But it's funny, you successfully pulled it off because you didn't get banned, and now it's engaged this additional commentary, which means it's got 5 bonus points. And I was talking to your friend Oliver Linehan earlier, and he was saying, hey, I don't know if you know this, Eric, but Morge loves bonus points more than anything. I didn't know that. It's good to know. I mean, who doesn't love bonus points? Have you ever heard anybody say, I don't want bonus points? You've never heard anybody say that. Well, they're bonus and they're points. Of course I want them. Who wouldn't want bonus points? Like, I wonder how much effort the person put into setting this up in advance. Like, are all those troll accounts ones that he uses to troll an assortment of channels one after another as he moves through the YouTube universe being a complete douchebag? Or did he make them all for this event, you know? Why do you think it was multiple people? I mean, they were all saying equivalently dumb things. It's not like one of them had an English accent, and one of them sounded like they were from Europe, and I mean, it could have been 2, but even if it were 2, they'd work in coordination, right? Working in a single party. Like, if I go into a restaurant as a group, even if I'm more than one person, I'm still one party. Okay, I'm gonna make some coffee. While I'm at it, you can watch Rachel do whippets.
Hey, what's everybody up to? I'm doing whippets. Actually, like, only recently started doing whippets. I know, like, it's a high school thing. Like, a lot of kids get caught, like, doing whippets as kids, but it's new for me. Hey, Jeremiah Fix. Soul Thief 42 asks, Rachel, are you and host Eric married?
There's Fight Monkey.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Thank you, Spike Monkey, for continuing to direct so much of your attention and effort towards me and mine. Is minus opposite of bonus? Oh, what's the opposite of bonus? Would be like punitive points, or you'd be docked points, right? It's like you get bonus points or you're docked points. Your docked points, that's the opposite of getting bonus points. I mean, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we're married.
It's just not
I guess it depends on how you define married.
church married.
We're not married within the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about the government's opinion on my marital status. So, I mean, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we're married. We were just having a conversation, in fact, about how all of our conversations about things are necessarily predicated on the assumption that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives, whether it's mutual finances or whatever. We've been together for over 2 years now, and the last year and a half of it have been pure bliss. The first 6 months we had some problems to deal with, but we successfully solved those problems. They weren't problems endemic to this relationship, but rather problems with Rachel's situation when I met her, basically. So Soul Thief 42, we're not fooled by you at all. You're the same person, the same party, right? Who hates me and is spiteful and is trying to. The funny thing is, you're trying to hurt my feelings. And I guess at some point you recognize there's zero chance of that happening. So then you tried to hurt Rachel's feelings, which is just like really fucking scummy, It's really scummy. No, it genuinely is scummy. Like, you can try to hurt my feelings because I'm a YouTuber and an expert who's out in front of everybody all the time saying a bunch of shit and being arrogant and whatever else. So go ahead and try to hurt my feelings. You're never going to succeed. But why try to hurt Rachel's feelings? What did she do? I don't think you'll be successful at hurting her feelings either. But I don't assume she's invulnerable to it in the way that I am. It's possible to hurt my feelings if you're Rachel or my daughter. It's definitely not possible for a scumbag idiot like Soul Thief 42 to hurt my feelings. I mean, there's nothing there. You have no access to actual insecurities or anything.
We were married, though.
It's just the same. I know it's the same fucking person doing the same shit, and he's just now trying to go, okay, good. Oh, Eric overreached here, so I'm going to pretend to be somebody else now. Like, don't even bother, you ridiculous person. You ridiculous excuse for a human being. Don't even bother. You're not fooling anybody. You never will. The day you outsmart me is the day you're the last human being on Earth. And I'm 400 years dead.
No. And Tiny Man 66, I promise you, I'm not bullying.
She's not bullying anybody. Who's Rachel bullying? No, the problem was Tiny Man 66, Soul Thief 42, and party. That's to say, this large party of trolls. They got frustrated at their failure to get to me, so they tried to hurt Rachel's feelings.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Rachel bullying anybody. Oh, you're doing satire. My bad. I didn't get it. And now who's the dumb one? Now it's me. Now I'm the dumb one.
I didn't get it either, though.
So,
Sorry.
it just goes to show you, spiteful hate monkey, that even I sometimes get to be the dumb one. You just choose to be continually.
Jeremiah fix slurring things. Aw, thanks, Horse Mumbler. Horse Mumbler 1 says, Eric and Rachel are in a common law marriage. They're man and wife for all meaningful purposes and present themselves as such. Ceremonies and contracts are unnecessary formalities in their case. Yeah, I definitely see that.
If I'm dumb for not talking, what does that make you for purposefully coming around here to listen to me? Right? If in fact me continuing to talk is dumb and a bad thing.
It's alright, Time Man 66. I'm like not the brightest.
Then what does that make you, who's choosing to spend a shit ton of time logging into different accounts to spend time listening to me talk? If in fact what I'm saying is so worthless, then you must be the dumbest person in history, because even though you know it's so worthless, you keep making a lot of effort to come here and listen to me. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, you'll note I don't go to listen to you. I don't go seek you out to say things and listen to you because you don't have anything worth listening to. Troll Thief 42, don't pretend. Don't, it's like, come on now.
My cousin got into San Diego.
Oh, good for your cousin.
Yeah. I told her that we should get together, but she's only going to be here for 2 months now. So I don't know.
That's true, Soul Thief 42. You haven't definitively proved yourself to be the same spiteful scumbag. That's true. I nevertheless know that you are, and everybody else does too. Even if you never demonstrate that you are, we're nevertheless smart enough to see through your obvious bullshit. So, sorry, that's just how it is. You're not good enough to fool people. Sure, you can watch. You can engage too. But, and you'll see that you're not being banned or anything right now because you're pretending to be a decent person instead of one of this group of spite monkeys. Like, the thing is, Soul Thief 42, if you weren't a spite monkey, you'd be saying, oh, I get it. You have had a lot. I scroll up, I see a lot of this spiteful shit. So I understand why you're saying this because you have never seen me around before, blah, 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 blah. Instead, you're just ignoring the elephant in the room and pretending as though, but what, me? No, I'm not with those guys. No. Look, I'm not acting like them. I'm a regular person, a longtime fan. I've never seen you before. Ever. I'm explaining to you why it is you're unable to fool us about your identity. Because, for example, if in fact you really were a real person, you wouldn't have to ask that question. You'd understand, oh shit, this really is a crazy fucking mix-up because I'm new. I've come in with this name. It's very much like, without a picture, very much like all these trolls. So obviously they're going to conclude I'm the same person. I'm actually not. So you wouldn't pretend to be like, I don't understand. I'm confused. Unless you're that dumb, in which case you're with them. Yes, and this is what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to call out you on and say, don't think you're ever going to fool anybody. That's what I feel like doing right now. I don't know. I'm not asking you to care. I'm just saying what I'm saying to you.
Hey, Diamond.
Well, you said it yourself. I'm doing what I want to do. Why are you doing this? Oh, wait. We already resolved that. Dumb and hateful.
I do want to put the camera on myself for a moment. Because I do have a question. Because I am a vain person. Alright, so I've been like growing it out and I'm thinking I'm just like gonna continue growing it out. How is it looking? Do you guys like this like little like bob thing I'm going for? 'Cause this is what I have. But I don't know. I feel like that's like all I can get, like bangs. I don't think I would do bangs though. I don't think I would do anything at this point. Basically, the camera's on me for no reason. You guys are very lucky. This is like your lucky day. Cut my hair. There's like not many people who would say that. You want me to cut it for I don't know why, what reason. Most people would say
to grow it out. I've had it short for a very long time now. I'm ready for a change. Fat cow. 4. That's nice. So it turns out Eric was right about Soul Thief 42. So I should cut my hair because I don't remember what you said. Yeah, seriously, men like Oz. F this dude. Oliver Linehan, thank you very much. This non-alcoholic beer goes out to you.
I swip it too. Thanks. There's not much you can do with my hair at this point except for grow it out. I'm just impatient.
You were right, Oliver Linehan. He says, how the fuck he post after I hit him? Guess I was right about his 2 accounts, though it didn't let me hide the second one. You were right. Yeah, right? What's the next name gonna be? Interesting. Last time I had long hair was in 2019. And then I cut my own bangs and I went for a pixie cut, and I've had a pixie cut since, so I'm growing out. This is my hair, really. Like, this is like the cut that I have right now. I think it's not so bad. My hair will be more easier to, like, I'll be able to go like this more when my hair is longer, but you know, I have to be patient. Thank you.
I am dying of thirst.
Ooh, you gotta crack open your beer. Not an alcoholic beer.
Get the knives and forks. So,
I have a calic right there. If anyone is curious about calics, I have them right here.
here's a possible distinction between 7 and 9 Enneagram that's occurred to me.
Ooh, I'm interested.
So if they're right about the sloth versus gluttony thing, or 7's wanting to have fun and 9's wanting to have time not demand things of them, then it would make sense that I'm a 7 and 9, because rather than ask Rachel to help with this and wash some fork and knife or something, I just think, no, it's just easier for me to do it myself or whatever like that. And Rachel doesn't think, I'll just get up and wash it. She'll just say, is there anything I can do to help? At which point it's like, we're both being 7 and 9 in that regard. For me, being 7 means I don't want to talk to you about what to do because it's harder than just doing it myself. And for her, 9 means I don't really want to get up and help, but I'm going to offer because I'm FE.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have some carne asada here.
It smells really good.
Well,
I'll be picking at it.
I've also got some burgers coming up too.
Oh, cool. I think they do hoard info. Winston's mom. I knew 5. Thanks, John Visanti.
I like it better since Rachel cut her hair shorter because there's less hairs in the bathroom. Fewer hairs. You know,
It's good to know though that you don't like that because I will keep that up.
when she had long hair, I was always getting hair done. Which is fine too. I mean, you know.
I am gonna let it grow a little bit more at this point.
My point is, the only opinion I have about her hair, plus the other opinion is, I know she doesn't like that her hair doesn't dry well when her hair is long. Those are the two opinions I have about her hair. And to my SI experience and her SI experience. Not anything else. Fewer hairs and less hair.
I got some whites in there, which makes me look more my age, which is nice.
How do I reconcile action and perception? What do you mean reconcile them? Of the perceiving functions, 2 of them are action functions. Now, I've said before, and I'll say again, I don't think the words perceiving and judging functions are useful words. I don't think that dichotomy has anything more to offer us except to point out that the N's are with the S's and the T's are with the F's, right? So, whether you call the N's and S's perceiving functions or something else, they include both knowledge and action. So, what's the difference then functionally between perception functions and non-perception functions? Perception functions don't legitimize. They know, which may include a legitimacy status, and then they act or react or interface, you know? Okay, so using a function as subject and agent. So, the best explanation for this is as follows. The reason I fifth slot NI ignoring is because I don't use NI as a subject. And the reason I don't use NI as a subject is because my default nature of being is to expect you to use NI as a subject. In other words, I'll make the art thing and you enjoy it or don't enjoy it, critique it, like it, don't like it. You judge it. But I'd like you to judge it on its universal appeal rather than on any personal link to you. Okay, so it's like, I could write a song about Bubble Puppy that Bubble Puppy might like a lot because it's about Bubble Puppy. But I don't want you to like songs because of some link to you. I want you to like it because it's universally good, right? So in that regard, I'm not a subject in NI simply because I'm the guy who's putting things on the field for people who are subject NIs to receive and know things about. I'm not a subject of NI because I don't know first. I instead ideate first or generate objects and assume that someone else will help me to figure out if they are gold, silver, copper, or poo, you know? So functionally, if you're talking about like, here's an instance of a behavior or words or display of some sort, whether that's an example of NI as a subject is a tricky question to answer. So when I'm watching shows, sometimes I use NI as a subject, and sometimes I use it as an object. To use it as a subject when I'm watching a show means basically, oh, I know what's going to happen next. I figured it out. Mia is going to go over there now. Mia, they gave me one too many clues, and now I figured it out.
You're good with that.
And I am pretty good with
Yeah.
that. But the thing is, in that instance, it's me using
Yeah.
NI as a subject in the context of me using NI as an object. In other words, it's like I'm consuming some media, and because I'm an ideator by nature, I'm thinking of other possibilities. Occasionally, some of those possibilities are going to trigger my NI agency, and then I'll go, oh, this idea, and I'll say it out loud. I'm still putting ideas out there for the external medical field. In other words, I might figure it out, but it doesn't mean anything until I say it out loud and Rachel can hear it, so that when I'm right, I get credit for it, right? So in that regard, I'm not using NI as a subject, because even if I say the right NI conclusion, for me, it's still speculative until it happens. It's not actually knowing. It's hey, I've got some speculation that I think might be knowledge. So that's what it means. That's what I mean by it's hard to describe. So, like Rachel's NI as a subject means necessarily she has much less to say, but that everything she says is less subject to meowiness. So I'll say a whole shit ton of things, and I'll be kind of hit and miss. Some of the things I say are good and clear and make sense. Sometimes I stumble and have to backpedal and re-explain, and sometimes I too many tangents, sometimes I have too many words, sometimes too many in other words. But I'm confident that among all these attempts, some of them will be gold, some will be silver, some will be copper, some will be poo, right? Well, for an NI Dom, they're not thinking like an action type in that fashion. They're not thinking about things they do and the impacts or meaning changes they make. They're thinking in terms of what they're observing right now and knowing. So it's like, for an NI Dom, they're approaching a given circumstance from an observational perspective, hoping to know things about it. From an NE Dom's perspective, I'm approaching a given circumstance from an ideational perspective, hoping to be able to build off things that I find there, and or hoping to find an empty space where I can display things, you know? So that's what I mean by that. Your fifth slot, you're strong in as an agent and an object, and when tested, when drawn out by the world to test your subject skills in it, you'll test well. But it's your nature to not go through the world with that as your subjectish part, right? So the thing is, it is the case that each of the functions is sort of naturally a subject, agent, or object function. And the knowledge functions are the agent functions. The deliberation functions are the object functions, and the action and interface functions are all subject functions. Because we need more modalities to engage publicly than we do privately. Privately, when we're engaging, we're not in conflict with our own values, usually, right?
That's one way to put it, Peter, didn't Chi. However, putting it that way might lead to some confusion. Every red rose may have its thorn, but that doesn't mean that every prick smells like roses.
I told Eric this, I know you like to think your shit don't stink, but you know a little bit closer, see the roses really smell like poo poo poo. Yeah, roses really smell like poo poo poo. That was Outcast.
Alright, you guys don't think that someone like Jordan Peterson puts too many words in their external metaphysical field to be typed ENTJ based on your definitions? No. As a matter of fact, I don't. So in other words, like, I I have a YouTube channel that's also called Talking with Famous People. I don't have a YouTube channel that's called Eric Strauss. It's separate, by the way. I just have Talking with Famous People. And I have a couple other little things like TWFU music or related things, okay? Now, note how many videos I have since 2014 when I started publishing meaningfully. Now, find how many videos Jordan Peterson has actually put up himself since 2014 on YouTube. How many total hours of content of him talking has he published, chosen to publish himself on YouTube for his own purposes, versus how many hours of talking I have put up, right? And you'll see mine is exponentially greater. Now, additionally, on my YouTube channel, even though I'm an expert on debate, my channel's not about debate. Even though I'm an expert on logic and conditional reasoning, my channel's not about logic and conditional reasoning. Even though I'm an extraordinarily robust philosopher, my channel's not about philosophy. Even though I'm the best typologist, my channel's only nominally about typology. As a matter of fact, my channel is about whatever I'm thinking about right now and feel like talking about. Because I'm an ENTP. And I'm putting information continually on the external metaphysical field. In contrast, Jordan Peterson is starkly less expressive, right? And indisputably so. Yeah, right. It's about if you're talking about somebody's type, like if you want to type somebody based on their YouTube channel, we can operationalize those definitions. An ENTP's YouTube channel looks sort of like mine, or sort of like ENTP clubs, where even though he's trying hard, he still can't help but have a playlist of his songs, of his crazy songs, of him like riding a psychedelic boat with hip hop beats and him doing crazy whatever shit. He still can't help but have that fucking playlist. Just got here, and what are we talking about? Well, we've had a succession, a whole barrage of haters, trolls, / spite monkeys, or whatever. And now we're discussing the issue of if Jordan Peterson is really what I say he is, which is ENTJ, then why so much talking from him? Well, I mean, the answer is the only way he uses extroverted intuition is as a subject. It's his 6-slot function. So it's to be expected he'll actually have quite a bit of talking done. But when you compare it to the amount that an extroverted intuitor does with introverted thinking, introverted feelers, they get their feelings hurt, so they're constrained somewhat. But an extroverted intuitor with introverted thinking, we want to express ourselves continually. And, you know, it's like, and we won't, it's impossible for us to stay focused on just one thing. So if we were a real smart ENTP, maybe I'd have separate channels and be consistent in keeping them separate in the topic areas or something. But I still wouldn't be able to just have one channel talking about one thing. So, I mean, there's a big difference between 6-slot NE like Jordan Peterson has and dominant NE like I have. However, 6-slot is going to be public. You know, it's like your 6-slot function is a part of yourself that really only displays publicly. It doesn't really display when you're doing your own thing on your own time for your own reasons.
Aww.
That's very good, carne asada.
It is. I don't want to sound like stereotypical, but you do look like a German boy eating his good food right now.
I feel like that. I feel so satisfied for my body to eat food.
Yeah, you
know?
look it.
It's like I'm taking care of myself. Yay!
Yay!
Well, when I'll agree with you. You see a lot of NI in this shit. He's definitely very NI, but I would describe that as absolutely consistent with NI tool. Now you might say, well, he could also be NI dumb, but the thing is, the TE is a predominant frame of reference. So why is he doing psychology? He's doing psychology because this is how people can improve the way they're living and be better, more effective people and stuff. In other words, he's doing psychology to help people. He's doing psychology to provide meaningful ways of understanding that can help people change their own lives for the better. Why am I doing psychology?
No, I don't think...
To
I
be
don't
right.
think he's an unhealthy INFJ. TinyMan66. I don't think he's... I never liked the guy. I remember, like, seeing him back in, like, 2018, probably, and being like, this guy is, like, kind of black and white in how he thinks, and, like, he's kind of mean about the things he doesn't like, and he's clear that, like, his old wife, I think he was married at one point, like, did something. I don't know. He was just, like, trying to give these 20-somethings advice and sounding wise, but only coming out sounding kind of bitter.
I mean, J. Busy Brown, of course, we're going to talk a little bit of trash about Jordan Peterson. I mean, foremost, he's wrong about personality. He's completely wrong about it. He tries to sort of include some notions of Jungian archetypes and stuff, but fundamentally refutes the mechanics of MBTI and instead embraces the Big Five as a more scientific way of understanding personality. So obviously there's going to be a little bit of trash talk because he's fundamentally wrong about the core paradigm of psychology. But beyond that, this isn't a very TE-friendly place. So in other words, we'd rather things be correct than useful. And Jordan Peterson's the opposite. He'd rather things be useful than correct. He's an evolutionary psychologist. Which means every explanation he gives for things is complete bullshit. You know? It's complete bullshit. Yeah, somebody asked Jordan Peterson, why does red, the color red, sell more things in advertisements? He says, ripe fruit. Because back when we were hunter-gatherers, ripe fruit would catch our eye. And we needed that to like that more, and that's why we buy things more when there's red in advertisements. First of all, what percentage of ripe fruit is red? Almost none. Second of all, why did all this powerful identity-shaping stuff happen when we were hunter-gatherers for like a couple of years, and that's the only time you ever hear of evolution happening, right? Well, those hunter-gatherers evolved like fucking crazy. Every time they saw fruit, they evolved a little bit more. I mean, my critique is very good here. The thing is, if you're an evolutionary psychologist, it means you're framing psychology through what evolutionary forces rewarded the aspect of human that you've observed and are talking about, right? Well, that's a terrible way to understand psychology. It's an absolutely fucking terrible way. By any understanding, even if you want to accept the premise of evolution, which is fundamentally self-contradicting, but whatever, it still doesn't inform us anything meaningfully about psychology to reduce why people are the way they are to some story like ripe fruit, you know? It's not a meaningful analysis of psychology. Even if evolution were correct, it's a biophysical understanding that informs us in no purposeful way about the nature of identity or consciousness. So, you know, is there shit talking of Jordan Peterson?
Yes.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson, high-level genius, sounds like jealousy. Jordan Peterson may be 50 IQ points higher than me. That's fine. However, any claim that he's more correct than me, you're pulling directly from your ass and shoving down your own throat. Because there's absolutely no justification for that claim. I am 100 billion times more correct about Jordan Peterson
Yes, it's
regarding
open,
everything we
Lee.
disagree on,
For the
regardless
first
of how
time
much
that
smarter
you're
he is than I
looking
am.
in,
Okay,
It's actually open.
he can have an IQ of 300. I can have an
Yes,
IQ of
it
50. That's
is.
fine.
Yes.
But we have to
You can
acknowledge.
trust mommy.
But we have to acknowledge that I am right where he and I
Yes.
disagree, and he is wrong.
Yes, you can trust mommy and daddy. Yes, you can. Yes. Smell for yourself. Oh, S.I. dumb. ISTJ kitty. Oh. Not loving the attention, so you groom yourself. Yes, daddy is so handsome. No, you should go through the side.
I mean, look, I don't hate Jordan Peterson or anything. He's not an idiot, but you know, in,
Oh,
his,
pee-pee.
in our own way, we're all
Come here,
idiots, right?
darling.
So, like,
Darling.
you want to fairly call Jordan Peterson an idiot? Say, having yourself put into a medically induced coma because you don't feel like the discomfort of kicking benzos. That's being an idiot. That's being an SI polar idiot, right? But he's not a dumb guy. He's SI polar, right? And
Strauss.
and I agree his lectures are entertaining perceptions of metaphor that are fundamentally misleading about human identity, values, justice, correctness, and everything else. You know, he's imposing a TE frame of reference onto everybody. Clean your room and slay dragons. Jordan Peterson, before you tell me what to do, how about try being correct first? Be correct about your explanations of human beings. Be able to articulate how you are projecting your own frame of reference onto everybody when you do that. Understand that first, then tell me what to do. But he doesn't understand that first. He does not understand fundamentally. Did I take that from you or me? No, I think
Yourself. I would tell you if it was from me. Only because,
so. You know, it's like
fairness.
I can be an idiot about FI stuff, right?
Wow.
You could say, Eric, you're a complete idiot. You stayed with a BPD person for 2.5 years, putting up with abuse after abuse, indignity after indignity.
Yes, you did.
And you'd be right. I'd be an idiot for that. Jordan Peterson's an idiot for having himself put into a medically induced coma to kick benzos.
Really idiotic.
I guess polar idiocy. It's like, and the spike monkeys, their problem is, and there's no real solution for it, is that I'm dumb about my feelings. Jordan Peterson's dumb about his body. Those people are the equivalently amount of dumb about thinking, about logic.
I hope it's not.
And it's like, oh my God. No, I'm talking about polar. Those people are clearly, at least one of the people is polar. Maybe more. Polar TI. You can see it by the...
Oh, no, I wasn't... No, I was reading Legends Ball thing. He injects heroism into everyday BS that everyone hates. The man is a prince. I don't like thinking of him like that.
Okay, well, I mean, I agree there's something heroic about choice, about free will, and about defining yourself and creating your own ontology. The problem is, he consistently understands what that process is in ways that are counterfeit the NTP's experience. Now, you might say, well, Eric, aren't you counterfeiting his experience? No, I'm just saying he's wrong about things. But he very much is adding a normative element in ways that counterfeit what we're doing right now. Jordan Peterson would not deem us healthy people. He'd say, no, you're sitting around, clean your freaking room. Look at this mess.
Yeah.
You're sitting around doing drugs. You're 50 years old. You're a man-child. In reality, he'd just be imposing his frame of reference on me. I'm actually wiser than he is, and I understand more clearly than he does. But if you were to gauge my practical engagement with the world, I'm sure he's a homeowner, not living in the back house at his dad's, you know?
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, he describes a status quo problem that is basically people not having a robust enough relationship with their SE. It's absolutely consistent with TE and SE as first slot absolute values. Like I said, I'm not dismissing all Jordan Peterson says. I'm not saying he's an idiot. I'm not saying we shouldn't listen to him. I'm saying he's unknowingly projecting his bias, whereas I'm knowingly projecting my own. And he probably won't be capable of engaging his own level of bias at the level of nuance in which I'm engaging mine, because he fundamentally isn't a meta-analyst. He's a analyst. They just, it's like he's only got one of his first two functions being metaphysical. So he's just not as robust in this area as an NTP will be. And that's just how it is. If you want to talk about abstract models of shit, Einstein was definitely an INTP. Anybody who tells you otherwise is full of shit. The only genius in history who was an INTJ is Tesla. That's facts, okay? Just leave it at that. All the other geniuses, INTPs. Kant, INTP. And the fuck up almost geniuses, ENTP.
I think the creative ENTP.
Feynman. Like Richard Feynman, ENTP. But what genius idea did he come up with? Nothing really. The ideas that he came up with that he's remembered for aren't really thought of as Feynman ideas anymore. They're just thought of parts of a general meowing of things that we understand better now. What's he really known best for is his books. Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, right? Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman was a big success as a book. It was a hit with English teachers. ENFPs, INFPs, all your intuitive English teacher ladies loved it. Because he wasn't aggressive in his TI. He wasn't shitting on your face so that even if you are TI polar, you'll notice it, right? I do that. No, I want to make clear you understand what I'm saying. So then the problem with that is if you do make sure that people understand what you're saying, then you are saying TI polar people. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. You are stupid. And it's like they're not going to respond well to that. It is what I'm saying. It is true. In terms of logical reasoning, verbal reasoning skills and stuff, it is absolutely true. Both ENFPs and ESFPs, when it comes to verbal reasoning, are objectively, indisputably, dumb. And that's okay. Nobody has to be good at everything. I'm indisputably, objectively dumb when it comes to my own interests. That's why this guy comes in here and says, "You're broke, Eric." Yeah, water's wet. Tell me something I don't fucking know. Of course I'm broke. I'm an idiot when it comes to that stuff. I'm just right. That's all I get. I just get to be right.
I look at it as we get this relationship. I look at it as we get this relationship.
Oh yeah, we get that too. But what do we get that from? What are we talking about? What are we getting things from?
I look at it as I see it, we have a relationship.
No, obviously, Rachel. I'm trying to say, what is? I don't remember the thing that preceded what you said. Is what I was
I'm
asking.
trying to read it.
I said something, and you says, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to have your take on the fundamental nature of consciousness. Well, I mean,
I'm so glad Kitty went outside. Yay.
fully realized human sentience is a complete configuration of relationships between real-time experience and turn-based communication, kinds of attentional durations, right? The nice thing about attentional manners, we can measure them in minutes and seconds and hours rather than in no units. So, presumably, if attentional manner theory in general is correct, then one way or another, we would see some sort of actual brain geography correlates if we were looking in the right place with the right looking thing, right? So, I thought that was a joke, Jeremiah Fix. I thought it was a rather hilarious and subtle joke. When you said, Drat, I forgot the name of my favorite existentialist. I just thought, oh, that's pretty slick. That's a pretty slick philosophy joke there. No, you were just... That's fine. I'll give you credit for it anyway. You get 4 points. Mostly credit for it. So, what is the nature of consciousness? Well, I mean, individual human beings are, examples of the genome, but they're also examples of a special concern with the gap between map and reality that may be transspecial. So in other words, it may be the case that animals have this as well, but I'm not making those claims because it's difficult to substantiate. In other words, I have no means of understanding what an animal's map might look like mentally, so there's no reason to make the claim. Okay, so Khalifa asked this question, and I think it's a good question to explain some things, okay? To make it simpler, is consciousness an emergent property or a fundamental substance / entity? And the answer is both. So to be fully human is to be both a biological creature operating in real time in a sort of instinctual stimulus engaged way, and concurrently to be a metaphysical being, a being who can operate with communication in a way in which duration, while present, isn't relevant. I say the same sentence whether I say it a little bit more slowly or a little bit more quickly. It's only relevant to your interest, not to what's being said, the content of it, right? So in that regard, it's turn-based. So, in other words, to understand consciousness is to acknowledge that it's an emergent property or an emergent phenomena implicit to biological organism existing through time and in space, and also that it's the possession of, affirmation of, and realization of an identity that's singular, unique, and named, such that it is not simply an identity but an entity. Now, these distinctions are themselves of mapping concern only. So, in other words, human consciousness is a robust, mixed up soup of communicative matters and experiential matters. And it all falls under the frame of people trying to know what to expect from life, to basically be able to predict the future. I don't know who Bo Burnham is. I don't know who that person is. How do you think the social contract factors into consciousness? So, the problem with the so-called social contract is, of course, it's a textbook NFP move. Let's call something that's definitely not a contract, right? It's a textbook NFP move. We'd like to take on the virtues of these good words, so we'll call ourselves that. We're the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. No, you're Korean Dictatorship 101. But, for people who don't use words well, making claims and things being as they are totally the same thing, So, there is no social contract. There is a reality that we grow up in a society that's persisted before we got there. Okay? So, in other words, we're caught up in the inertia of society, and everybody necessarily is. That doesn't, and whether or not reality forces you to adhere to various conscriptions of your own wildness and or to impose upon you the desire to attain against certain mores or whatever, that's all well and good, but none of that comprises a contract. There is no social contract. Social contract, any kind of contract, has two fully informed and fully willing parties enter into it under mutual agreement. That is not what happens when you're born. Okay, so it's deeply offensive that they use the term social contract. There is no contract with unwilling participants. You can't say, hey, surprise, here's this contract you signed that you didn't sign. Here's this contract that you're obligated to that you didn't sign. It makes no sense at all. The metaphor is this. Well, I would like it to be the case that individuals born in society were obligated to uphold societal norms in the same way as if they had chosen to be born in society and signed a contract in advance. But that it's not the case, no matter how much you want it to be like that. It just isn't. Who did you find it first? I wonder. Maybe Jordan Peterson? I'm not sure. Don't you think the dependence of consciousness or its different intensity levels to brains is a contingent problem of this contingent world at best?
Yeah.
I mean, the dependence of consciousness.
Contingent.
The dependence of consciousness on what? Consciousness is dependent on what? If you're saying it's a contingent property of a contingent world, well, I mean, yes, being a conscious human being is contingent on you being a living human being. That's true. And a more or less normal human being. In other words, you don't have some sort of catastrophic brain injury or something like that, So, yes, it's contingent on certain realities. Look, you have to think about it in terms of an instance of a thing versus claims about a category of things existing because there are instances of it. So, are you talking about an instance of a human being or the category of thing called human beings? If you're talking about the category, don't try to shift back down then into in other words, it only goes this direction, it doesn't go this direction. So if you come up with examples, fine, you can say this may or may not seem to be consistent with a pattern or something. But you can't come up with patterns and insist that every individual adhere to them. That doesn't work like that. You're checking the wrong thing for correctness at that point. Why is it necessary that consciousness is only emergent in brains or certain material dispositions and not other material dispositions? I mean, because things are the way they are and not some other way. There's no answer to that question. It's a category error to ask a why question in that setting. There is no why as to why is it that only conscious things are conscious. You know, that we have categories of things, living, dead, and non-living, is a taxonomy implied by the reality we experience, which is we've encountered things that are alive, encountered things that are dead, and encountered things that are not alive and never have been. At least in any recognizable form that we can understand, right? So the thing is, when you're asking, well, why is it that only the living things are alive? The answer is because the other things are either dead or non-living. And that's as far as you can get with it. You know? That's as much as the map can do with that question. Aristotle answered all the unintelligible questions with 4 letters A as A. I mean, I think we can answer them a lot better than that, though, right? I think I'm answering better than a lot of people who use a lot of philosophy jargon. The reason only humans are humans is because that's what the definition of humans is. You know, the reason humans are never born with dog brains is because species, definitionally, exclude change beyond the elasticity implicit within them. So, as I said before, it's like I can make my muscles bigger because that's part of the elasticity implicit to my being. I can exercise this and make it bigger. But I can't flap my wings so much my arms so much they become wings, because that's beyond the plasticity of the set definition. So there is plasticity within every set, and yet there are clear delineations between sets as well. That's what makes a species special, right? Is that it is what it's defined to be, and its definitions are meaningful such that you can determine whether something's a member of the set or not. How would you define the so-called social contract, and what would you call it by preference? I would call it the social decency hypothesis. Something like, basically, people should understand you're part of a large community and try not to arbitrarily make the peaceful, ongoing continuity of that community feasible. So it's like, don't actively oppose the common good, and participate in reasonable things that fulfill the common good. Is the normal degree of decency hypothesis. You should have a normal degree of decency, and that means not just shitting on everything the government does because the government did it. It means not just shitting on every rule because I'm an individual and I'm a rebel or whatever. It means not crying evil conspiracy of dominant elites every time something happens you don't like, you know? It means being a good citizen. So it's the problem is, of course, you can't do anything with that, because the problem with social contract theory is it attempts to establish a positive moral obligation where there are only indications. It attempts to extend the certainty of negative moral prohibitions into positive moral indications, and thus fails, because that's where you need a magical thinking frame. Could the case be made that when humans formed social bonds, this was consciousness, while most animals had only herd mentality? But see, that's not true. It's like animals form complex social bonds too, just as complex as our own, really. I mean, like, our cat clearly has very well delineated and complex range of emotional attachments to different parties. She likes me and Rachel a lot. She's pretty scared of my dad. You can see how much she trusts even us, because sometimes we do things she doesn't like put diatomaceous earth on her. and sometimes she's reading us to see if like, but she's reading us with her SI. Last time you walked over to me like that, you picked me up and put diatomaceous earth. I'm not planning to do it this time, Capio. Well, I'm going to not take any chances. I'm going to scurry away from you. So, you know, it's very obvious that Capio has differing degrees of emotional attachment to me, Rachel, my dad. She likes Cameron. Delilah, she's a little iffy on, you know. And then versus, like, if a stranger comes around, she's not down with that at all. And then there's also other kinds of animals. Like the other day, I caught Capio and Pete the peacock sitting right next to each other on the porch right here, just sitting here in the shade right next to each other.
That is so cute.
And I was like, I guess they like each other, you know. I'm assuming the cat likes the company. Otherwise, why would she sit right next to the peacock, right?
That is so cute.
And Jonathan Bisonti, you can accurately predict that about me consistently. If you ask Eric a question about meow, there's a good chance he'll cite examples, meow, meow, or meow, because I've heard him do it before. You can make good predictions about me in that area. Yeah. That in fact, consistently, when I do try to explain concepts, I will cite examples from my own life. And those predictions will be upheld by reality because it's an accurate description of my cognitive functions and my perspective on things. Hi, Yoshi Perspectives. So your comment earlier evoked a little bit of a head shake for me, a bit of talking about it as well, because of course a person could draw one of a couple conclusions from that comment. But one thing that's definitely the case is I've been doing stuff about cognitive functions, trying to get righter and righter for the last 7 years. I've made thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of videos. I made shit tons of pages of documents about it, etc. Right? And I've also run myriad typing sessions in which I test all these concepts to see, right? And I check for correlations. Well, okay, if my understanding of TI is correct, then every NE-DOM will either have a very strong relationship with TI, which is they answer these questions really, really well, or be dramatically awful at it and nothing in between. And in fact, of course, it's proved to be the case. So when you come in and you say you don't know what NI is, it's reflective of one of two things. Either you're trying to assert dominance, and that's your strategy, or you're not very deft with your FE. So the thing is, if you are an INFJ, then you made a poor choice in coming in and trying to assert dominance like that, just because, which is understandable potentially because you're discounting the significance of the SI component. However, if you weren't aware of what you were doing there socially, then you're definitely not an INFJ. So it was either an attack that you were aware of, an attempt to assert dominance, not really an attack, an attempt to assert dominance, or you're not an INFJ. Because nobody would honestly make that social mistake who's an INFJ without being aware of the impacts of it. Well, I don't know what Yoshi is, but I do know that if he's an INFJ and he came in and said, Eric, you don't know what NI is, then he's either right now regretting it because he realizes, oh, fuck, I did a real big FE fuck up, or he's right now regretting it because he realized, oh, shit, Eric caught that completely and has analyzed it correctly. One of the two.
Well, I mean, I'm sympathetic to non-dualism, contextually appropriate. In other words, if you frame things correctly, non-dualism is correct. It's just when you try to universalize or totalize non-dualism or dualism and discount the legitimacy of the other, that you run into problems. It turns in that non-dualistic types are more likely to do that, and dualistic types are likely to do that. And so then what you should say is, I acknowledge that in this instance, my social ghostness may be inconsistent with my INFJ-ness, but that's an anomaly rather than the other element that you're considering. So in other words, if you were to be correct about arguing that, you'd say, it is correct I was socially gauche, but that's an anomaly for me. It was a mistake on my part, but it's not representative of how I normally am, and I am actually an INFJ. That would be the only way to successfully argue that. I mean, he might be, for all we know. You know, we don't know who he is, but regardless, I'm giving him a fair and just opportunity to right, yeah, I'm speculating. That's true. I am speculating, and that's okay for me to speculate. No, not that FE can magically perceive, magically know how I will perceive your comment, but that INFJs are the expert at that. Okay, so they're the expert at understanding how what they say is going to play. So you may have made that mistake and still be an INFJ, but it would be an anomaly for you, not representative of your norm. Your answer here suggests, again, probably not. Because you've reduced what I was actually saying to an assumption that FE can magically know. No. I'm saying INFJs, with their unique combination of universal knowledge and extroverted feeling, are experts in that particular area, more so than me by a large amount. And your gauche mistake would seem to be less expert in that area than even me. So, in fact, if you are an INFJ, that would have to be anomalous, not typical, right? Okay, so you do know that your comment is instigating, which was not your intention. So you made a mistake then. You accidentally said something instigating when you thought you weren't doing that. That's very atypical for INFJ. INFJ knows what they're doing. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're eager to come debate me or something or talk on camera, you can. Again, not consistent with INFJ, but not necessarily determinate. You could still be one, right? Remember, INFJs are receivers types first. They observe, listen, and draw intuitive conclusions or crystallizations from what they hear and understand. They don't come out first as expressive and wanting to assert their positions. So, I mean, that's just how it is, whether you know that or not, or acknowledge that, or is consistent with you or not. I can tell you whether you're actually an INTJ, an INFJ. I can test you right now and tell you. But the thing is, I will tell you honestly what type you are. And that may not be the type you want to be. And you need to accept that going in. Okay? And it is also the case that, yes, I'm saying that I'm right and you're wrong if we disagree. Yes, I am saying that. For amply good reason. After all, between the two of us, who has more reason to think they're able to type somebody correctly? Just forget about logic. Just, like, you are not the first Yoshi I've encountered, okay? You came by different names, you were different people, but I've encountered you many, many times before. So,
this is a problem with a lot of people who come here and, hey, I'm new around here, and then want to correct me about things, right? You're not new to me. You've been here before, tried to correct me before. I so it's like, we'll see what you are. If you are the type you say you are, great. If you're not, that's just how it is. It's not because I have any preference either way. But, so go ahead and join me if you want. I will type you the same way I type everybody else. That's the beautiful thing, Yoshi. You can see all of my typing sessions for yourself. So you can see how every different kind of person answers the same kinds of questions in different ways and how those correlate with different things. Okay? And that's what affords my claims a lot more legitimacy, is you can objectively, yourself as a third party, test what I'm saying, check it out in the sessions, test it in your own life, do things yourself. You can try to falsify what I'm saying yourself. All that is what my approach allows, because I'm genuinely objective and rational. There's the link, whereby.com/autonomy. If in fact you've never had someone answer how you would answer, sounds like you're pretty original and creative. I don't think any other INFJ I've ever encountered would highlight that aspect of self that nobody would ever guess how they would answer a question. That's not something that they feel is a significant part of their own identity they want to meow about, right? Well, the thing is, intellectual pushiness is not exclusive of INFJs. I've met plenty of INFJs who aren't in a great place themselves and can be quite shitty, like Jeff Shaw, right? You're not convinced I've ever encountered a true INFJ. Oh, I see. So, what would convince you of that? What would convince you of that, Yoshi? Because I'm in the room right now. You're welcome to come join me and take my typing questions. And we can compare your answers against other people and see if you're just really quite as special as you think you are.
Do you mind if we put the box here?
Oh, is there nothing left in the other box?
No.
Okay. That's fine. So the thing is, let's say you're really clever with your language like me. So, for example, I'll make a poem out of your name, right? Yoshi perspectives. Go see electives at high school while nearing the shop. And afterwards, we'll go to the top, and you and I then will argue there about whether you are being fair, and saying that I have no knowledge of introverted intuition, even though my love, Rachel here, is in an IDOM, you might dispute it, but you'd be wrong. If you think you're good like that, you're not an INFJ. Okay? If in fact you are ideationally robust like that, you are not an INFJ. Sure, they can have their moments of genius NE, but if that's how you roll, don't fool yourself, girl. It's going right up the poop chute. Yeah, I know, it's not rocket science. Now, that's consistent with INFJ. Your inability to even open up a link in a new tab. That's fairly TE polar. But yeah, it doesn't link here, so you have to copy and paste it, right? No, I don't want to observe that video. Oh, you mean you want me to type the person from that video? Well, they're here. I can ask them directly. I don't, as I've said before, to really be able to type somebody, you need to be able to ask them questions and follow up based on their answers. It's not good enough to just type somebody from a video of them, although I do it. I approximate type people that way. But if I'm gonna actually be telling this guy what his type is, I want to actually type them.
Like, if they're not real typologists, I'm actually going to type the guy. Which means I'm going to be asking him questions, listening to his answers, and following up on them. Rational typology is just a shitting on two words. A shitting on of two different words. Rational and typology. That's what the channel Rational Typology on is. The answer to the Jeopardy question, how do I shit on two different words concurrently?
Yoshi, I totally believe you're an INTP. A lot more than I believe you're an INFJ.
Nothing you've said to me thus far is inconsistent with INTP, but it's definitely, some of it is inconsistent with INFJ.
I believe you're smarter than me, not less smart, but more intuitive than me. I believe you're smarter than me, but less intuitive. Not smart, not less smart than me, the more but intuitive. Okay? Rachel is less smart than me, but more intuitive. You might be smarter than me, but not. You're not more intuitive. You're not less smart than me and more intuitive. There's no fucking way, right? I mean, so it's like you might be an INTP, but you're not an INFJ. Is the point? I don't know if I got all those meow versus meows right, but you get what I'm saying.
I want to get a full-on tap out, so I'm going to do this until I full-on tap out.
Is someone there? Whoa. That's my bae. Figuring it out.
That's better. That's some drugs. Heck, what's one thing you really, 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 really love? My first answer is drugs. Second answer, my daughter. Third answer, my wife. But first answer, drugs. And that's fair. That is fair. I'm bipolar, so it's a perfectly viable excuse. Yeah, go hard, go home, motherfucker. What are you, playing softball? What are you playing, frisbee football? Tackle, motherfucker. Oh yeah, Yoshi must be in the autonomy stream and be muted. He must have. No, he must be in the autonomy stream but not saying anything. He's not muted, or else I wouldn't be able to hear the background thing. Hi Yoshi, now I see you. You're here. I don't see you, but you know I see that you are here. Hi Yoshi, now I see you. You're here. I don't see you, but you know I see that you are here. Hi Yoshi, now I see you. You're here. And now we're getting triple reverb. All right, listen. If you want me to type you, which I will, I'm gonna put my headphones on and mute the TV. All right, this should be pretty quick here. I'll be able to determine what type you are. Not super long time. I suspect. I could be wrong. Sometimes I am. Could be wrong. Sometimes I am. But probably not this time. Could be wrong. Sometimes I am. But probably not this time. Could be wrong. Sometimes I am. But probably not this time. Okay, so you need to turn off the live stream, Yoshi. Okay, so you need to turn off the live stream, Yoshi. Okay, so you need to turn off the live stream. Just be in the autonomy room with me. Turn off the live stream. Just be in the autonomy room with me. Turn off the live stream. Just be in the autonomy room. Turn off the live stream. I mean, he's making a good case for T.E. Polar. So, it doesn't matter if your camera's working. I don't need your camera to type you. I'm not looking at you. I'm listening to you. I mean, I do use some visual data, but I don't need it to type you. I don't use it to justify any conclusions, even if I use it, you know? Okay, so Yoshi, you need to turn off the stream in the background. Okay, so Yoshi, turn off the stream in the background. Is it off? Yes, good. Okay, Yoshi successfully turned off the stream in the background, everybody. Nope, he didn't. I was wrong. I was about to give you a round of applause. Instead, I'm going to give you a round of poo. You have failed again. You have failed. Turn off the live stream in the background, Yoshi. Okay, I've muted the desktop audio so you guys aren't. Turn off the live stream that you're currently texting in. Close that tab. Don't watch it. Don't listen to me talk via the live stream. You'll hear me in the room. Look at those TE people being so gentle in their explanations. It's like, close the fucking tab. Okay, hi Yoshi. Are you there? Are you there, square, fair, or hair? Okay, hair. Fine. So, Yoshi, tell me, how do you understand, what's your understanding of justice? Okay, he's still figuring it out. We'll just be patient. I'm going to be patient and not just say, okay, fuck this. I'm going to be patient. Yoshi interests me. It's like, my read of that comment was, it wasn't full of effy shittiness. It just had a little bit of it, which seemed more like fourth slot than... And INFJ would have been shitty all the way through more. And wouldn't have said so much. Wouldn't have had such a long comment. You'd think an INTP would be able to figure out how to get his mic turned on, but you know what? The INTPs can be incredibly retarded when it comes to certain things like that. Like, you hand them a power tool, you've got a trip to the emergency room coming in 5 minutes.
See that?
Are you there, Yoshi? It's me, Margaret. Yoshi, are you there, you little darling? It's me, Margaret. Oh my gosh. This is so adorable. Listening to Yoshi's background noise. Well, he continues to ignore what I'm saying because. Oh, wait, there I am. I hear me. Now he's back on the live stream again.
Oh,
Great.
there I am. I hear one of those.
Now he's back on the live stream again.
Oh, there I am. I hear one of those.
Yoshi?
Now he's back on the live stream again. Oh, there I am. I hear one of those.
Yoshi?
Now he's back on the live stream again. Oh, there I am. I hear one of those.
Yoshi, your failure is constantly re-astonishing me again. If you like being constantly re-astonished by failure, enjoy a video conference
If you
with
like
Yoshi.
being constantly re-astonished by failure, enjoy a video conference. If you like being constantly re-astonished by failure,
Enjoy conversation.
Yoshi, listen to me. You need to close the live stream and turn on the audio on the room. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me apparently. Just go into the room. I can hear you right now, yes. But don't have the live stream on in the background. Okay, so then why can't you hear me through autonomy? What does the mic say? Okay, all right. So, are you? Okay, but what I want to ask you is, are you using the live stream and this on the same device or different devices? Okay, so go to the device where you're watching the live stream. Is that a laptop? No, but what? So, okay, you're talking to me through autonomy, but you're not hearing me through autonomy, right? So, so, so use the device that you can hear me on to talk to me through as well. Why won't they be able to hear you? Yes, they can. Okay. Well, the thing is, right now I have the no. I know. Yeah, no, not right now because of all the echo. Yes, now
They're
they
saying
can.
in the
Now
live
they
chat.
can. Now they can. Okay, I turned off their mic because
They're
of the
saying in the
echo.
live chat. Okay, now I'm hearing myself.
Yes, now you're not again. But what my point is, you can. It's just that you can't because I have it turned off, so it doesn't blow everybody's ears out. All right, good.
To me,
Now you can hear me.
but I'm assuming you can hear me.
You can't hear me
I've
through
opened
autonomy.
the chat on autonomy so we can talk through there.
Wait, no, but listen.
I'm not sure why
Listen.
I'm not getting your audio.
Okay, so use this room with your other device instead of the one you're on. because at least one of the devices must successfully have mic and speakers.
Okay, so you want me to use this room on my phone?
Yes.
Is that correct?
If you can't hear me on the laptop, then talk and listen on the phone.
Okay, I'm pulling it up.
Okay. Ay. Well, we can hear him, but he can't hear me, Oliver. That's the problem. Or Peter. He can't hear me. So it's like his laptop, I don't know, he's not getting any speakers from this. And his phone should work though but he keeps trying to do things on 2 separate devices concurrently. And I want him to leave this room on the laptop and come back with his phone. But I'm not sure he understands that or not. Because he can't hear me, you see. Yeah, so we're trying to figure this out. Normally, autonomy, whereby doesn't give me any problems. So it's probably like a problem with one of the audio channels on one of his devices.
Okay, I'm hearing you now. I'm gonna put the sound through my earphones.
Okay, I can both
Hold
hear
on a
and
second.
see you, so we're good. And we're also not getting
Yeah.
any echo, so you don't really have to put on headphones if you don't want to. Let me make sure I got this audio on the right setting here. Yeah. Okay. And let me pull up this. Let me do this. Piao. Piao. And then Piao. Window capture. And
Alright, I guess I won't use these.
okay, we are good to go. I've got you on screen
Cool.
and your audio is coming through fine. And
Is it? Okay, good.
your video looks good too. So we're good to go.
Good.
Okay, so first let me just start with some TI questions, which will help clear the way a bit here. Can you tell me
Okay.
if some Rachels huff nitrous and some nitrous huffers are named Maria, is it necessarily the case that some Rachels are named Maria?
No.
Okay. Who is my mother's father's wife's only daughter's husband in relation to me?
Yeah, I can't trace
Let
that.
me do it again.
That's hard to trace.
Listen again. Who is my mother's husband's wife's only daughter's husband in relation to me?
I may have traced it wrong, but it's either you or her.
It's my dad.
Yeah, or yeah.
Okay. So
I even heard you ask those in your typing sessions, and every time like, huh?
Okay.
Like I can't trace it. I can't keep track of it.
Okay. So then, I would like you to tell me what your understanding of justice is.
My understanding of justice?
Yeah.
I don't really think about it that often.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have to think about that. I don't really think about justice that often. I guess I would just say justice is punishment to somebody that did something bad.
Okay. Do you think we live in a just society?
No.
Okay. And why not?
because people that do things that are bad get away with it.
Okay. How do you define introverted intuition?
How do I define introverted intuition?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. I was going to do a video on this. I would define introverted intuition. So can I just take it on a little bit of a story to explain?
Sure. It's not a loaded question. There's nothing loaded
Okay,
about it.
yeah, totally fine. So children, when they're young, they always ask why. Why this, why that, why this, why that. They're always asking why. Eventually, they come to this point where they have asked why enough, and they feel like they've gotten a grasp of reality enough to move on from those. And I'm just starting it off, so I'm just starting to paint the picture, so don't let the short answer be the complete answer, because it's not so. But just to start it off, I would say that the dominant NI never stops asking why. And to every answer to a why question, there is another why question.
Okay, so you got it wrong.
Okay, so
let me explain.
Yes.
Let me explain. And I'm not trying to just.
That's
shut you
she's
down.
saying yes.
I'm not-
That's so
I'm-
funny.
I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm just saying, asking
Yes,
why
you did.
is
You went out
a
that door.
is a process of either FI or TI.
Oh,
The deliberation
yes.
functions. The
Tell me
deliberation
about
functions
the
ask why.
argument, babe.
Knowledge functions aren't asking functions. They're knowing. So in other words, you observe data and you know what it means
I would
without
say that
having to ask
introverted
why.
intuition as a knowledge function is fundamentally incorrect
Okay, so why would you say that?
because it's because it's not the experience. And okay, so why do I think that mine is NI as opposed to other ones?
No.
So
Let's
you
go back.
can do-
Let's go back to the last question. You said
Okay.
you don't think intuition is knowledge. So let's say.
No, intuition isn't automatic knowledge.
So okay, so as we normally
It's knowledge
okay,
after
okay,
asking
all right,
why.
All right, hold on, listen. So Sherlock Holmes goes into a setting and sees a bunch of clues and says, "Aha! I've intuited the solution." What has he done there? Is he
That
knowing
is
something, or is he deciding something, or is he
that
taking
is
action?
a use of the word. That's a use of the word intuition. That does not correlate with psychology and
Okay,
typology.
so in other words, you're saying the typological understanding of introverted intuition is divorced entirely from our colloquial understanding of the word, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, but nevertheless, we do have something that we colloquially call intuition. So what is that?
That's correct.
What is that in your taxonomy?
The way I understand people that talk about their intuitions is this hunch that they get, that they just know something. They don't know how they know it. They just happen to know it.
So is that introverted
I'm
intuition?
saying they because I don't understand. I
Is
don't
that
get
introverted
it. So
intuition when that happens?
I wouldn't say that that's introverted or extroverted. I would say that that's completely divorced from the typology.
Okay, so what's introverted intuition? Tell me specifically, how is introverted intuition and typology distinct from our normal understandings of intuition? Don't tell me it's not a meow or whatever, but say, whereas this thing might be called intuition under normal circumstances, we'd have to call this alternative that's exclusive intuition in typology. Give me something like that.
Okay, I can't speak specifically on the general, like the mainstream idea of what intuition is, because I only hear people talk about it. I don't experience it myself.
Okay, but,
so I don't
we do
know what they're talking
we do
about.
know conventionally it's used to describe an aha moment of knowledge by people.
Yeah.
So I want you to
I
explain
don't get
why.
those aha moments. I do not get those aha moments.
Okay, yeah, I got that. You're talking about,
experience
okay,
something
I get
different.
that, but I have a specific question, right? So you're saying that aha moment is not correct when it comes to understanding intuition with typology. Now, so far, the reason you've given me is because you don't have those aha moments. So therefore, it must not be intuition. Do you have any other reason why it's not intuition?
I do have other reasons, but I'm only able to give a portion of a reason before you answer, so I'm not able to actually fully enclose my reasons. So it's only natural that you would not see my partial reason as enough.
No, but listen, okay? So what we're
Okay.
trying to do, so that we actually have good dialectic, where our conversation is making progress towards something, is we want to stop at each spot where there might be disagreement, determine what we mean, right? So in other words,
Right.
when I'm stopping, I'm saying, let's not proceed forward past this question of whether or not intuition is knowledge, because I'm trying to get you to articulate for me exactly how it is distinct from knowledge and why you think it is. So far, what I've gotten, it's not the end of the answer, I get that, but so far what I've gotten is you don't experience what people conventionally, how can people conventionally describe intuition. So what other
Okay.
reason do you have for believing that intuition and typology isn't that thing?
So, first, let me touch on something that was previously said. I might correct what I said a little bit. So this is my hypothesis. I can't know for certain because it's not me. But if these hunches that people talk about truly are truly are correlated with NI or NE, whatever, of typology, I would say it's likely in a lower position of the stack. And my hypothesis is that the reason why they just get the knowings, but they don't know how they get the knowings, is because it's not their dominant function, so they're not so conscious of it. And so it's searching things out and coming to realizations without their without their realization. But then when it comes to its aha moments, then it pushes it out into the conscious, and they're like, aha, because it's not in the dominant.
Okay, so can
But
you distinguish NE and NI for us, please?
NE and NI, so I mean NE, I don't have NE. I can only try to explain it based on what I've seen.
But I mean, you said I was wrong about NI. Is it basically because your experience isn't what
So
I
I would say
described
NI
as?
and NE are not able to be defined by each other. Yeah, I would say that NE would be completely different from NI, and it's just semantics are very similar, causing us to think that the definition is also similar.
Okay,
But
well,
I would say
here's
that
the
it's
good
likely not
news.
very similar at all.
Here's the good news, Yoshi. I'm not asking NE to define NI. I'm asking you to define it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to define NI. The problem is, hold on, I gotta use my hands. NI, I feel like, is only definable by touching on several points and bringing it all into one. But by only touching on one point and trying to bring it into one, and then question, that one point is not a proper explanation at all. You have to actually get all the points and bring it into one. And so I understand
Okay, so
why
I have a
you're.
question. I have a question. So when I say NI is the crystallization of multiple data points into a single distilled truth or whole or relevant factor, how does that
The
differ?
explanation.
How does that
The
differ?
explanation.
No, I have a question. I said, how does that differ from what you just described?
How does what differ from what I just
I mean,
described?
I've often in the past described NI as an intentional process whereby an individual observes a multiplicity of data points and then the intuition crystallizes it down to a single relevant truth or factor or explanation or something. So you just said, oh, you have to factor in the multiple points. Well, I've also described NI as the same way. So I want you to explain to me how it is that what you're saying is distinct from how I describe it.
Okay, so what you just let me actually finish the entire thought so that you can probably understand what I'm actually thinking. So what you just now said, I would say that it was not incorrect. It just wasn't. It's not complete. But in the sense of it not being complete, I would say it's incorrect. But I wouldn't say that the factors that you just gave me were incorrect. They are part of it.
But you did say I was wrong about
factor.
knowledge, so where am I wrong about it?
I don't know if you remember or if you read it yet, but in the comment section, I had actually said that I didn't know exactly how you define NI. I just know that the way I've seen you say that's NI, that I didn't see anything that could lead someone to think that was NI. And
Okay,
I asked you, like, do you have any videos? And you didn't give me any videos,
Okay.
so I didn't know exactly what you think NI is. But what you just now said, I would say is partially correct.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Where did I drop my weed? Okay, so obviously, how a person attends via a function is defined by their dominant and second functions. So it's like, as an NE dom, that defines my relationship with NI, it defines my relationship with SE, and it defines my relationship with SI. In other words, we know where all the first, fifth, eighth, and fourth slots are when we know the first, right?
I think when we know the first, we have to confirm at least one other in its in a certain spot to know. Like, you could say NE, but is it ENFP or is it ENTP?
Right. Well, that's why I said we can know the first, fifth, fourth, and eighth slots by knowing the first. I didn't say we could know the second and third by knowing the first.
Okay, so I'm not convinced that anything beyond the 4 slots plays any practicality in understanding who a person is.
Okay, so
I wouldn't know past that.
If I wanted to describe my relationship with extroverted sensing, do I not have one because I only have 4 conscious functions?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet in understanding. I can barely even. I'm still trying to grasp how my SE even works. Like, even in the 4th position, I'm only 28. Maybe I would.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get more when I get older. I'm not here trying to claim I know everything.
I don't think you
I'm
are.
trying
That's
to
fine.
just
That's
explain
fine.
what I
all right, that's
do
fine.
feel
That's
like
fine.
I know.
So the thing is, the fundamental warrant you've used on a couple of occasions here for why NI is as you perceive it to be is because your experience as a purported NI dom deviates from how you've heard it described. So here's how I would describe being an NI dom, okay? Being an NI dom necessarily means you are a receiving type first and a knowing type first, which is to say you go into things, read the holistic synergy of the thing, and know what it means. So holistic synergy of the thing, what I mean by that is nobody can articulate which part of the engine makes it work, right? And in fact, if you take out 10% of the engine doesn't work 10% less well. It doesn't work at all because there's a synergy component. NI is about that synergy component. It's about the crystallization of multiple things where the sum is greater than the whole of the parts. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that it means inherently a lot of matters which NI DOMs are genuinely concerned with and thinking about are not reducible truths. So what ends up happening is for legitimate INFJs, they are risk averse when making claims and or statements, or unlikely to overreach unless they're trying to attack. So the thing is, here what you're seeing is there's some overreach, right? You're realizing I don't really necessarily know enough about this to be making claims here. The fact
I know enough about this part. Yes, I do. So.
Okay. So, but you have So, what is your fundamental position? You said my understanding of it is incomplete, even though you've acknowledged you've only heard one part of my understanding. Just like you say, I've only heard one part of your answer, right? So it's like I've described NI in multiple videos. Now, you didn't do any research before saying I was wrong about it, right? You just watched one typing of an INFJ.
Didn't need to.
Do you think I was wrong? Do you think I was wrong? Do you think I was wrong in typing that INFJ as INFJ?
Yeah.
Okay. So then.
Well, no. Wait, no. Sorry. Not yeah. That was too quick of me. Inconclusive.
Okay. So basically, then what I'm telling you is, you're definitely not an INFJ. What you're experiencing is
according to your definition of what INFJ is.
No. Listen. It's also the case that you're not a lake, according to my definition of lake, and everybody else's definition of lake, and the only correct definition of lake. In other words, on the map, you're not a lake, you're a mountain, but you're still either blue ink or brown ink, right? You're not actually a lake or a mountain.
I hear what you're saying.
The point is there is one accurate map of cognitive functions and consciousness and attentional matters. It's the same thing that we're all trying to describe, but there's only one accurate map, just as there is one accurate map for explaining continental drift, just as there's one accurate map for explaining relativity, there's one accurate map of the mechanics of attentional matters in human beings. Okay?
I would say there's one undiscovered area of the map.
Which is
but nobody knows that, which is NI.
Okay, no, just because you
listen, I have an easy way to do this.
No, but listen, you're very convinced.
I'm listening.
You're very convinced you're an INFJ, right? But the problem is this. You're convinced that everybody else is wrong about NI because their descriptions of NI run afoul of your experience of you assuming you're an I-dom. Now, what
Can I explain why?
should we conclude instead of what you're saying we should conclude? If you're
Can
logical.
I explain why?
Sure.
Okay, the reason why is because after looking at all of the functions and considering each one carefully, I go through each one through deduction to try to find which one fits what's going on in my head the best. And through serious study of each of the functions, and some of the functions so obviously cannot possibly fit what's going on inside of my head.
Oliver Lyman, he's
I
not
come
an
to
ESFP.
hold on, I'm still going.
I'm talking to Oliver,
NI is
not
the
you.
only one. NI is the only one that could possibly even match, and being the NI
But you said the descriptions
definitionally.
of it are all wrong.
No, so like I said, your understanding of what you think NI is only has some of the factors. It's missing factors, which is actually causing you to misunderstand
Which
what
are the
it
factors
fundamentally
that I'm
is.
missing? So is Rachel not actually an INFJ? I got her wrong.
So I don't know who Rachel. I know Rachel is your wife with you. I've never talked to her, so I can't say anything about her. I'm not going to be presumptuous like that.
Okay, listen, I've typed a lot of INFJs. Now, it's
Well,
possible
that
I've
you
been
think
wrong
are
about
INFJs, that's
no,
fine.
No, sure, no, you're right. You're right. I'm going to get there. It's possible that I'm wrong about each of them. But if you were to make that claim, you'd have to have a preferable alternative to understanding the mechanics than the one I presented. You'd have to have an actual definition of introverted intuition that you can operationalize. You see,
I'm trying to give one.
To meaningfully use a definition is to allow the other person to eliminate certain things and include certain things by way of that definition. So provide that kind of definition for me.
I have to actually be given the floor to give my full definition of NI in order to properly explain it. But if we're going to stop halfway through and pick on every little spot, then it's not really going to be possible.
Listen, if you are saying things that aren't clear, I will stop you and clarify, and that's acceptable and reasonable. Now, listen.
Okay, you could clarify, but if we could keep on
here's
going
how
with
an
it.
NI. Here's how I. When I asked Rachel this question of how do you define NI, you know what she said? Because she's an NI dom. Internal knowing. That was it. Two words. 2 words. That's how NI doms respond to
If
things.
she thinks
Simple
that,
clarity.
then I would say she's probably got NI a little down further in the stack.
I mean,
Or she doesn't
NI
recognize what's going on.
doms present ideas in their most concise form. They're necessarily, therefore, less fully realized ideas. But the thing is, you're not doing that, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If I, instead of naming my dominant function to you and trying to support that that's correct, can I just tell you what's going on as my dominant thought process?
No, because if you were
tell
smart,
me
you'd say,
what you call that.
if you were smart, you'd say, Eric, can you just type me as normal? Well, let's forget, pretend we start from scratch. Let's just type me as normal. Then fine, okay? You telling me your thought process and me telling you what I think is going on, it doesn't work like that. If you want accurate typing of you, you let me ask the same kind of questions I ask everybody else. And
So I don't submit to your form of typing.
Okay, but nevertheless,
and so I wouldn't do that.
but listen, think, okay? So even if you think I've got the wrong name, there's no disputing that I can compare your answers to questions 1 through 5 against 50 different other people's answers to questions 1 through 5, right? Even if I've drawn the wrong conclusion about it, I can accurately present to you where you fall in the spectrum of people who answer the same questions, correct?
No.
Okay,
because
you are bipolar, I guess.
I've never heard any typing session or seen any typing online typing site that has asked the correct questions to properly fully unveil an I.
Okay,
and
so how do you determine what the correct questions are? So in other words, to establish something definitely is NI, what you need to do is say, I can show that answers with this of this sort correlate with, say, FE polar or really good FE. Now that would be a good way to define an I, because then you could actually meaningfully say, yes, I've got it right, because I see it always goes with either very strong good FE or really, really shitty FE, which is consistent with the idea that the person's an NI Dom or an SI Dom, right?
So you're trying to prove one function with another function instead of actually understanding the NI itself.
Because NI doesn't exist not in a relationship with other things. It is
Well,
the term. No, listen. The term NI is
Yes,
a
it is.
description of your relationship between communicative notions and sensory experience. Okay, it tells you where you land regarding those two conflicting matters. If I am spending my attention experiencing things in real time, then I am not spending my attention engaging in communicative, cross-time, turn-based kind of thinking. Okay, so the fact is, intuition and sensing are two different ways of describing the same phenomenon, a single relationship between experience and communication.
So would I get it correct that you are unwilling to understand me simply by hearing
I've asked you
my
multiple
information
times to
of what goes on
define
in my
NI.
head?
I've asked you to define
No,
NI.
no, I'm
Just
trying.
define it. Just define it. Don't tell me what you're trying. Don't tell me what you're thinking. Don't tell me how I'm interrupting. Just define it.
It's indescribable in one short
You're
sentence.
not an INFJ. No,
It's indescribable
no
in one
chance in
short
hell.
sentence. You don't want to hear what's actually going on in my head.
No, I want
Why
you.
not?
I want you to demonstrate.
Why not?
NI.
You don't want to
I want
actually
you to
come
actually
to get to know what's
demonstrate
in my
the
head.
ability to explain something concisely.
I can, but it's not going to happen in one sentence.
Okay,
Sorry,
then go ahead
there's
and
too many
define
components.
it. Then define it meaningfully. Go.
You're going to give me the floor to actually define it?
You're still not defining it. Define it meaningfully. Go.
Immediately?
Define it meaningfully. Go.
Meaningfully, I will do it. NI is not the passive observation of things. NI is an active observation, constantly trying to find the hidden meaning behind everything. How does this show up? Anytime, whenever, everything that happens around me, anything that's happened in the past, my mind is always exploring the implications. Why? Actively, not passively. And I'm conscious of this, but only barely conscious because sometimes it happens almost subconsciously, and I have to metacognition just to realize that I'm doing it. I'm doing this all the time. I'm always considering why this, why that. I'm looking at the hidden meanings behind things. I'm trying to explain this as quickly as possible, but it's still very
You're
abstract and almost
self-reporting.
unconscious.
Listen,
but
now I'm gonna
it's
ask you a
very
question.
it's
Now I'm
active.
gonna ask you a question. You had the time to talk for a while. I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. You're
Okay.
self-reporting as being very insightful. Can you give us an example of you being insightful?
So giving an example of being an insightful just randomly is difficult because I don't have NE like you might.
No.
If we were talking
No.
about a specific subject,
That's not why.
then I can give insights.
That's all
If
right.
it's
I'm asking
something
you
that
for an
I,
example from your SI.
you're asking me for an example for my what?
From
I
your
didn't hear
SI, an actual example you remember of yourself being insightful. That's not asking for any. I'm asking for you to remember an example, a time when you were insightful, and cite it for us. Tell us about it.
So insights actually come in a lot bigger forms than just, oh, here was an example of me being insightful.
So you can't
I
communicate
could-
one.
What?
So you can't communicate an example of insight.
If we were actually talking about something that I have, so obviously people aren't going to be insightful about everything in the universe. They're going to be choosy, specifically on the interest things that they
So
themselves
what was one time when you were
have
insightful?
explored.
What was one time when you were insightful? You said me, and everyone's like, ah.
My entire view of the universe
No, but
is
give me an
different
example
than
of one
everybody
time.
else's.
Give me an example of one example where you said yeah, and everyone was like yeah.
Always.
Well, give me an example.
Like, how do you pick one
Well,
from always?
give me one example. I can. You would like me to
Right
give you an
now.
example? Would you like me to
Like,
give you an example
but
of
you
me
won't
being
let me.
insightful? Like last night, I said in a live stream, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, most self-development is not so much about kicking yourself in the ass as self-acceptance. And somebody who said afterwards, like, wow, that was really insightful. To me, it wasn't very insightful because it was pretty obvious. But for other people, they said that was insightful. I can think of countless.
That's super shallow.
I can think of
That's super shallow. I wouldn't call that
so
insightful at all.
Yoshi,
Let's call
that's
it
fine.
obvious.
Yoshi, that's fine. Okay, it wasn't insightful. But guess what I was able to do? I was able to give you an example of something that somebody else thought was insightful that I said?
Because it's not insightful.
Okay, so Yoshi, give me an
So-
example. Give me an example of something that is insightful, then, so I can learn from you. Something you said that wasn't insightful. Something you said that's insightful.
You have to actually allow me to explain a perspective.
No,
So
I want
if
you to
could
say something to me that you said that was insightful.
because NI is deeper than that. Sorry. If you want to actually know what NI is,
I'm
it
not
takes a
asking
lot more
about
than one
NI.
statement.
I'm not asking about NI. You self-reported as being an insightful
No,
person. No, listen, stop. You self-reported as being an insightful person. Now you provide an example as substantiation for that. Go ahead.
My insights are more elaborate than just one sentence.
Okay,
like you gave
explain
for your
one.
example.
Explain one in as many sentences as you want. Go ahead now.
Okay, thank you. As many sentences as I want. I believe in God. Most people that believe in God are very. It's all a religious act. It's God is a idea in the head, and not actual reality. And this is a problem with me. So because of this, I have to search the unveiling of this. If I believe in God, He must be real. God be? How could God actually become reality? I'm not done. Okay, so if God is actually real, and science explores reality, then God must be explainable by science. This is what I think. Okay,
That's
and this
your
is not the
insight?
end.
That's your
This is
example of
not
an
the end of
insight?
the insight. So
That's not an example of the insight. Okay, go ahead.
I explore these things, and I explore all the implications. I take into account the sciences, which is TI, not NI, but the fundamental exploring of these implications and the hidden what's hidden. I'm exploring. Okay, so there's dark matter, dark energy. And scientists say that this dark matter is, it fills like 99% of the known universe, but we don't know what it is. We don't know hardly really anything about it, but we do know that it keeps everything together. Now, my actual searching of all of this information takes years because NI ruminates for a very long time, and so you're not getting all of my thought processes when I do this. But my insights bring me to tell me that my hypothesis is actually that dark matter is literally God, and not an inanimate God. I mean a sentient God, and I actually am talking about the God of the Bible. I think that if my hypothesis is that if scientists can discover dark matter, dark energy, things like that, then they will come across a being who is closely connected to the conscious. I think that they will find it best if they try to figure out the conscious and dark matter together. And I think that, how do I say this? Dark matter will have will seem to have the ability to create based off of audible properties. These are my hypotheses. Based on my insights of what it must mean if God is real, and my evaluation of the creation versus evolution debates, and my
creationism.
Okay, that's cool that you can see the logic in that and know that.
Okay,
I
the problem,
actually really like
I'm
your
gonna
logic.
stop you now. I'm gonna stop you. You have plenty of time to cite your insight. So, I didn't hear anything insightful there. What I did hear was some terrible reasoning. God is real. Science describes reality. Therefore, science proves God. Anal mucus is real. Drake sings about real shit. Therefore, Drake sings about anal mucus. I mean, it's incredibly specious reasoning, right? So it's not
Ye-
insightful in any way
Yeah,
that withstands scrutiny.
it's a sorry attempt to try to explain something because it's
Okay,
not
so
something that's easily just randomly explained.
the thing about insight that matters is real insight is communicable. Okay, it's not you gesturing wildly at something that's ineffable. Okay,
And it doesn't come
you are
randomly
not
either.
insightful. You are not insightful. You are NI. It's fourth slot because you are definitely. I think we can all agree, an ESFP. Now the thing is, you did okay on. You got one or two of the TI questions correct. You didn't get the genealogy question correct. You probably just happened to say no on the first one and happened to get it correct. I can do some more TI testing and we'll see if it's polar. Okay. So let's ask you this: if all people from Iceland love iceberg lettuce, and I love iceberg lettuce, am I necessarily from Iceland?
No.
Okay. If only people from Egypt built pyramids and I'm building a pyramid, am I from Egypt?
Yes.
Okay. If 16 students in a class,
If what?
if there are 16 students in a class and they're getting graded in 3 units, grammar, literature, and vocabulary. So, of the 16 students, 4 students get A's in all 3 units, okay? 4 students get A's in only vocabulary, 4 students get A's in only grammar, and 4 students get A's in only literature. How many total students got A's in literature?
I'd have to have you repeat
Okay, I'll
it.
repeat it. I'll repeat it. There are 16 students in a class. 4 of the students get A's in all 3 units, vocabulary, literature, and grammar. 4 of the students get A in vocabulary only. 4 of the students get A in literature only. 4 of the students get A in grammar only. How many total students got an A in literature?
8.
Okay, well, you're not CI polar. So you're not an ESFP. You are NI. I think you're... Well, I mean, I would think you're NI fourth, but you could very well be NE, I guess.
You
The thing is-
mistake the ability to use logic with the tendency to use logic, which is what typology is.
No, I don't actually. The thing is, what we discovered in actually testing shit with actual experimentation, right, is that there's a substantial percentage of the population for whom, when I ask these kind of questions, like, who's Joe's mother's sister, they say family. A substantial amount of the population, a larger amount of the population you think, gives those answers. You cannot answer basic verbal reasoning questions. And sometimes are very verbally competent. Those are called ENFPs. They're extremely verbal and talkative, but they can't answer the most basic of logic questions. Your TI is quite good, actually. It's quite solid. Now, it's not INTP solid. When I type INTPs, what I get is, they're able to do genealogy problems where it doesn't matter how long I go, they're up to date with it as I'm saying it because they're processing the TI that quickly. Now, the thing is, it is the case that verbal reasoning and logic correlate with TI. It is also the case that they do not comprise the entirety of the attentional manner. It is, in fact, an attentional manner, not a skill, right? Same with NI. You're right about that. NI works as a subject, an object, and an agent. It's an attentional manner. Where it is in your stack depends on how thoroughly you engage it. So it is true that somebody with NI in the first slot will engage it on a subject level, on a agent level, and object level. However, you've objected to my designating it as a receiving function or a knowledge function, and you've not really given any justification for why. When I asked you for insight, you frankly gave me nothing that was insightful. If you asked me to do the same thing, I could cite you 10 or 15 sentences that have good pop and people go, wow, that's really insightful.
I can tell you why.
The example from last night. I agree the example from last night. When somebody said that to me in the comments, I thought, that's really obvious, not very insightful at all. But it's nevertheless an example of somebody telling me that's insightful, right? You didn't cite an example of insight. You cited why you think you're insightful. That's a different thing.
I can tell you why I made that comment. The reason I made that comment was because because you're obviously heavy TI, which I like that a lot. But I knew that because you're heavy TI, then when I say something that goes against your TI that tells you you're wrong, that's going to be instigating. I wanted to stick out from a
You were
plethora
right.
of commenters on YouTube to
You were right.
actually
That is one
get
way
a
to
video with
provoke.
you.
That is one way to provoke. It's not a way that INFJs engage me and then want to talk to me. Okay, so it's like I do have some INFJs who engage me in very provocative ways, like Jeff Shaw, who I think is very likely an INFJ, but he would never come and talk to me like this. This is much more consistent with an extrovert. Now, I'm not sure what kind of extrovert you are, or if you are an extrovert.
I'm not. I'm
no,
not
no,
an
listen.
extrovert
Listen
at
to me
all.
say what I'm not sure of. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
sure you're an expert. I'm not entirely sure what type you are, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that with any reasonable definition of terms, you are not an INFJ. Okay.
Yeah, according to your
The meeting end. Yes, according to me and my approach. The problem he has, of course, is that he's not established that he has any preferable understanding at all. In fact, he's established quite the contrary. That he has no preferable understanding, and that he doesn't know what an insight is, that he can't express anything concisely, and that means to him that NI is not about concision and insight and clarity. Well, that's fine, but then, what is that part of the thing? What is that part of the thing? You want to just change everything's names to get them, reverse them? Fine. But we're still into the same thing. You're not the type that uses an intuitive knowledge function first, followed by extroverted feeling. That guy is definitely not an INFJ. Anybody think they know what type he is? I don't know what he is, but I don't think his TI is not that good. Well, actually, his TI is good, except for his SI is not so good. So ISTP might make some sense. Actually, it's not impossible, but boy, did that seem a lot like 8 slot NE. Boy, did it seem like 8 slot NE.
What is that? It's like...
That would be ESFP, or
It did
possibly
look it.
ESTP. He could be an ESTP, I guess. 8 slot NE is really annoying, because it's NE that doesn't expect to ever have to validate with NI. It doesn't have to be true. It just can be whatever random shit. Truths are all instrumental. Well, I don't think your definition is right. Well, okay, but you don't have a better definition. You just don't like my definition because it doesn't conform with what you think about yourself, that you're insightful and intuitive. As we heard, that guy is not insightful. His reasoning that God is real, science proves real things, therefore science proves God, is he might have just pulled it straight out of a dumpster, So I don't know what to say about that, but there was no insight there. Dark matter is God. That's not insightful. That's a speculative kind of NE idea, right? Not a particularly good one, because if you're thinking, well, you're going to immediately go, okay, but how am I defining God? If God is in fact an entity, a loving entity, like I say, well, we know that entities are distinct in exclusive ways from things that are dark matter. So it's like, if it's dark matter and it's God, then science would need to establish more than just it accounts for missing mass. It would need to establish something that it's doing something, right? Engaging in some fashion. If you want God to be accountable to science, you're no kind of Christian. Right? If you're a real Christian, you won't let science subsume God like that. It's not good intuition. It's not good thinking. It's just, the thing is, he has pretty solid TI, but dear Lord, did he sound like an ESFP. It's like, can't you imagine an ESFP when you ask him, give me an example of you being insightful, doing exactly that? It's like, that's a textbook sort of thing, like, totally missing the point, right? Give me an example of you being insightful. Well, okay, I'm going to have to launch off on this really long story it doesn't provide any examples of insight in order to set the table so I can give you an example of me being insightful, is really fundamentally not getting the concept of being insightful, right? So, he irritates me because he's not an insightful person, but he thinks he's so insightful that he's got NI right, and I and everybody else have got it wrong without accounting for the fact that even if he were correct, he'd just be arbitrarily changing all the terms around, right? He'd just be changing the terms. Now all of a sudden, NE's NI and NI's NE. It's like, okay, you are not insightful. That's called outsightful. It's like, instead of the insight, you just muddy shit with your absolutely poorly thought out bullshit. Well, that's fine. He can be in the chat all he wants. Insight isn't spelled like that, for God's sakes. Yoshi's an ENFP with a chip on the shoulder, but his TI is too good for an ENFP. He is not an ENFP. And his NE's not good enough for an ENFP. Maybe, I mean, ISTP is not a terrible thing, but he seems to have too much NE for it. I would go INFP, but he seems not deep or wise enough for it. ISFP, but he's too talkative. I mean, he really seems like an ESFP, but if he is, that falsifies the TI polar test to determine it. And I'm quite confident that he was not using trained TI there. He was just using actual TI. So he's definitely not TI polar. Could be TI6, maybe an ISTJ. That would explain why he kept going back to framing things through his own experience. Like, no, I know it's not NI because that's not my experience of me. You know? So ISTJ may be the best typing for him. I think that's probably the best typing. Yeah, because his TI is too good for an ESFP, but he's clearly FI, right? And he's clearly not NI at all by any reasonable definition of it. By any conventional definition, NI includes insight, relevance, significance, concision. It's the exact opposite of how he tried to explain insight. It's the exact opposite of how he failed to define or answer my questions. He just wants to keep talking until I get the gist of how he's right. You know, that's never going to happen because he's not. And he's never gonna talk his way into NI because NE is shitty. It's fourth slot. Yoshi, I listened to you quite a bit. I did talk over you quite a bit, but that's because basically, if you were smart, you'd be here saying, hey, I don't know anything about typology. Eric, I'm smart enough to see that you clearly are vastly more correct about it than any of your competitors, and apparently exclusively correct. So I would like to ask you questions about what you type you think I might be. No, I mean, you're determined that you think you know your type, and to the extent that it deviates from existing definitions, you think those definitions are wrong, but you don't have any good explanations for things. You have no examples of insight. I mean, the thing is, I actually asked you questions and tested you, and you failed to show good intuition consistently throughout that entire conversation. That's consistent with fourth slot NE, 8th slot NI. There's nothing wrong with ISTJs, but they shouldn't be engaged in trying to talk about this kind of stuff. My friend Cameron's an ISTJ. My friend Shad's an ISTJ. And they're comfortable with who they are. They don't position themselves as hugely intuitive people. And probably that's because they're around actual intuitives, like me and Corey. They've been around me and Corey for a long time. Corey's an actual INFJ, I'm an actual ENTP. So they don't feel like they need to prove anything in that area. They acknowledge that that's not who they are. Here you are in your late 20s, coming online, encountering an MBTI community, reading some type descriptions and stuff, deciding you're an INFJ, and then thinking you're prepared to do battle to defend that claim. Where you really don't know anything, you can't answer any of my questions, you didn't define anything. You think that if I let you talk more, you'd get somewhere. You were never getting anywhere. You were getting further and further away from cogently answering the point. So, no. It is not the case that I'm unwilling to listen. People who answer questions get listened to very clearly by me. People who are not answering questions and who are just rambling on and not making any points, well, you're right. There's no point in letting you continue to talk since we're trying to determine something here. We're not trying to determine how far away you can paddle away from useful determinant factors. we're trying to actually figure out, oh, maybe he is INFJ. Well, it turns out you're definitely not. So let's just put that one to bed. One thing we know about this individual, Yoshi, is there is a 0% chance that he's an INFJ. He may be some, I don't know what he is though, but he's probably an ISTJ. Okay, enough on that. Yoshi, I understand you don't agree with me. Your own way of experiencing knowledge is going to be predominant for you. You'll probably send me emails citing a bunch of examples from your own experience where they contradict what I'm saying, or something like that even, if you are an ISTJ. If you're not, then I don't know how you're going to respond to it. But don't fool yourself. There is a 0% chance that you're an INFJ. I have a couple of actual real-life INFJs in my life. Rachel and my friend Corey. They're very different. Corey's a much more intellectual, kind of smarty-pants INFJ than Rachel is. But the similarity in them is very clear. If I ask them to define something, they both give me clear, concise answers that lack in complexity and depth and completeness, but that are qualified as insightful. You have the inability to do that. You are not able to do that. The fact that you think I need to listen to you more after you talked a bunch is proof that you're not an NI dom. And if you are an NI dom, then everybody change their names. So I'm now an NI dom too, I guess, instead of an NE dom. So I guess that makes me a INFJ with a weird I guess I have to move my TI now, so I'll move to third, I'll move my FE to second. Now I'm an INFJ. And you can be too. If you wish hard enough, right? Hey, this is why people shit on people who say they're INFJs. Because a good percentage of them are people like Yoshi who have no concept of what it means to be an INFJ, have no concept about typology, want to disavow the determinantness to it. In other words, hey, my interpretation is just as good as yours, Eric. No, it's not. Your interpretation is made out of manure and predicated on almost zero practical experience. So it's garbage accordingly. Whereas my understanding of things is not. So that's how it goes. No, I'm not interested in playing nicey nice. Hey, let's agree to disagree. Let's be equivalents here in this discussion. We are not. You are totally unqualified to even have this conversation, and I'm a genuine expert. So that's how it goes. Now, that's not a reason why you're wrong. You didn't provide any reasons why you're right or wrong about anything. You just diddled yourself in your answerings. You didn't answer my questions, right? You avoided answering them. So that's not indicative of INFJ. Okay, that was irritating. I'm going to go now. I found that annoying. It's like, these fucking people, right?
Yeah.
This guy comes out of nowhere with nothing and is like, I know everything and you don't know anything. And he has absolutely nothing to back it up except his horrible reasoning that God must be proved by science because science proves things that are real and God is real. No, fuck off. You're not just not an INFJ, you're also super annoying. Goodbye. End of stream.